everyone. Eric Watson here, freelance writer, player, games writer, virtual recorder, videos, and tabletop role-playing aficionado. Welcome to the final session, our epilogue and recap session of our weekly live-streamed Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition online role-playing adventure. I'm joined as always by my wonderful friends, Chris playing Gottwald, at least you were, the Minotaur Rune Knight Fighter.
Hello.
Heather playing...
Previously.
Heather having played Savra, Lizard Folk School of Necromancy Wizard.
Hello.
Raymond, having played Mac, the Turtle Drake Warden Ranger / Rogue, will be joining us soon. And Reese playing Toril, the Kenku Fathomless Warlock / Fighter, now avatar of his own god.
Tired.
We are no longer streaming our sessions live on YouTube every Friday. You can still watch D&D videos, reviews, and Let's Plays on the channel. We will not do weekly session recaps. And I'm not doing Crafting the Deep anymore. We're also not doing a live post session.
It is melting his brain a little
from
bit.
the deep after our show tonight. I'm just crossing things off the list here. You can listen to all these live shows with the D&D.
You're like a very
Watson.
unprepared lawyer in front of the judge. Like, I mean, hold on. Scratched his notes.
Just dropping my papers left. They just explode in a pile around me. Oh, I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Hang on.
While he gets his brain thoughts together, everyone raise a glass for the retirement of Chris Perkins.
Yeah, just got that news today.
Yeah,
we love you, Chris Perkins.
Yeah. God, I remember listening. Let's just make this a Chris Perkins send-off session. I mean, for literally 10 years ago, I think I was listening to, maybe longer, when they did 4th edition. They were doing 4th edition Acquisition Incorporated when it was just a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the times.
Yeah.
I've got a Discord server. You can check that in the description. And if you'd like to support the channel, you can go to patreon.com/Rogue Watson. Also, shouts to new patron this week, Chris. It is not Chris Perkins, but we love you, Chris. Anyway.
Chris Perkins, you're here.
Well, now we know why he's retiring, so he can spend more time with his favorite crew.
That's right.
For our campaign, we use Roll20 video chat. We use Discord, and for streaming, I use OBS Studio. Our music is by Kevin MacLeod, and our amazing original character art was done by Jimmy McClure as a wild Raymond has appeared. Excellent. Now I don't have to fix the webcam. Previously on Call from the Deep, you won.
Yay.
The party.
What do we win? Can we level up?
Sure. You leveled up. The party had teleported to the astral plane to destroy the Elder Brain Zelix 4 and the surviving member of the colony once and for all. Sabra had a horde of zombies while Twirl was infused with empowered abilities from the newly freed Slarkerthel. The party had to survive psychic winds and several mind flares and brain golems, but in the end, they destroyed the brain and wiped out the insidious lithids. Returning to the Forgotten Realms, the Kraken asked a boon of Twirl, who wished to become his most faithful devotee while sparing the lives of his friends. Do we want to do the epilogue for your characters now, or would you rather wait until we recap and run through our campaign?
Let's recap.
Okay, that gives you a chance. I will say, by the way, I do have some fun trivia and stats to share with you all, which we will get into. But while we're doing this, I would like all of you to think of the following prompts. So I'm not going to surprise you with it. Obviously, epilogue for your character.
Do I need to open a Word document? Do I need to start taking notes?
No, sir.
Pen and paper.
The following prompts, aside from your own personal epilogues, I'm going to think about your favorite story arc and quest line, which obviously we'll be going over in this recap, and your least favorite. Your favorite NPC, and I kind of put in parentheses besides Borges, but if you want to say Borges, that's fine, but if everybody says Borges, all right. Favorite magic item, if you had a particular magic item you really enjoyed using, that was memorable, and then just your one-time favorite moment, thing that happened, whether it's the climax of something or just a goofy thing that happened. And again, we'll be, hopefully, going through this recap will help kind of jog everybody's minds. If this is your first time joining us for an epilogue and recap session, we do this at the end of all of our D&D campaigns, where we just kind of go through the entire campaign. We talk about the stuff. I can reveal maps. I'll talk about plans and things, and just kind of somewhat briefly go over everything. But obviously, if any of you want to chime in with any of your comments or questions or things, then please do that throughout. So this campaign, A Call from the Deep, was designed by, not Wizards of the Coast, but JVC Perry, one of my favorite designers on, I don't know if anybody's on the DM's Guild anymore, but this was on the DM's Guild. So this was my first third-party campaign. However, I also combined it with Ghosts of Saltmarsh, which is a collection of classic D&D adventures, some as far back as the 80s, that were updated to 5th edition. So I guess that makes it an anthology. And they all have to do with nautical things, I guess, quest lines or something. That's why they were all tied together. The actual Ghost of Saltmarsh storyline is three of those adventures, which I used 2 of them and then kind of adapted one of them into like a single scenario. All in all, I ended up using about half the content from Ghosts of Saltmarsh and used pretty much all of the content. Well, not all. I guess there was extra fluff I could have done, but the bulk storyline from Call of Duty, which is why I called this Call from the Deep. But I did end up combining both those things, which means we actually started off not how Call from the Deep starts off, which is the campaign kicks off with all of you basically being told, hey, there's this like weird alien ship that crash landed on this island. You need to go investigate it, and you go and investigate it. That's like the first thing. I thought it'd be a little more interesting to kind of introduce things a bit more organically than that. And I also just really liked The Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh, which was the very first, if you can think all the way back to September 2023. When we kicked off this campaign.
Okay.
Really?
And,
2023?
Yeah.
I thought it was longer than that.
And it was, this was our shortest campaign since, we looked this up the other, maybe since Storm King's Thunder, I think, right?
Maybe.
In terms of time and session wise.
Yeah.
Which was kind of the point. Like I did not, Realm of the Frostbane took us almost 2 full years, and it was a ton of sessions, like 90 sessions. And one of my goals was to not do that long of a campaign again. So, and I think I nailed it. I think this one was just about 17 or 18 months or something, maybe about a year and a half. So this was the big haunted house thing, which you were told it was a creepy haunted house. It was supposed to scare you like a creepy haunted house, but in fact it was just a bandit hideout that they had used some trickeration to turn it into a haunted house. And I really liked this scenario. I thought it was pretty clever, the way it just again has that kind of expectation where you ought to explore this creepy house. I also loved saddling you with Ned. If anybody remembers Ned, your first Reese is nodding his head. That son of a bitch.
Can you?
Yes.
I don't know if it's possible. Can you turn
sorry. I
off
can
dynamic
unlock
lighting?
the yeah.
Get the full glory of. Yeah, there we go.
Yep, I can.
Okay. Yeah. This was we go down in the basement and we think there's scary stuff down there, but
Yes.
it's just.
Yes, I can send you the basement. That's actually a more interesting map, isn't it?
It's the Home Alone furnace.
Yeah.
So the basement is where we got a very memorable meme from Demnix, where it was Mac saying "Hello, fellow smugglers," because he was trying to Mac. This was not the first time that Mac would try to escape or branch off from a confrontation by going deeper into the dungeon and aggroing more things. But this was definitely the first time that happened. You guys were still cleaning up. You guys were still cleaning up the skeleton fight, I think, and then he had opened the door and started exploring the smuggler caves down here, and ended up aggroing some guys. But you guys got out of the situation. You met. So first of all, I'm getting ahead of things. Ned, of course, was my hilarious secret plant who is designed to literally stab you all in the back. I believe I was able to down.
He downed Toro, right?
Down Toro,
Yes,
which Reese's characters are not easy to take down. Let me tell you. I basically
you got to get in early. You got to get at level 2.
You have to use cutscene bullshit to take him down. Literally, in Rime of the Frostbane, the only time he went down was through a cutscene bullshit event. And then this one, I basically kicked off. I was like, oh, by the way, your friendly NPC literally stabs you in the back with like a fucking surprise attack.
I rolled real bad on that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a fun moment for me. And then, of course, Ned would surface much later in the campaign, which is also a fun moment. It's very rare that you get a chance to create like this nemesis thing for the party in terms of a memorable enemy. And then you all surprised me, delightfully so, by working with Sanbele, good old Frenchie from the smuggler guy, who also resurfaced later in the campaign. I was very happy in this one in particular to reuse several NPCs. where you all learned about the smuggling ring, and this is where I dropped, again, this whole thing, we haven't really started the main plot yet, right? We're just kind of working on this one, like, local event. And you all got in a boat and got to go out to this ship with the Sea Ghost, and this was definitely meant to be the ship that you all end up commandeering eventually as your ship. If you recall, this was an insane fight. We nearly TPK'd.
Yeah.
I don't think it's still on here because we use it for other things, but there were, or yeah, it is on here, I guess. The Sawagan attack, I think, that occurred, or maybe it was the pirate fight. I think there was a pirate fight and then the Sawagan attack. I forget how it worked, but it was really nasty for you guys to be able to fight this. I loved the duplicity you all first tried to do this with Toril only speaking in like 4 different words or phrases.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That was fun.
That was
Using
really fun.
mimicry and yeah. It worked for a little while, right?
It got you onto the
close, I
ship.
think.
Yeah, it got you onto the
us
ship, but it was one of those where like you knew at some point you're gonna have to pull the trigger and take these guys out. And I believe the captain was like you knew Gottwald and all that. I tried to tie into there.
Oh yeah.
So you guys were able to take the ship, stop the smuggling run, but you also got some captives where you found Harley. Harley Finn was a captive here. So you kind of learned more about the storyline and more about where this ship was basically going, which was the island that had the crashed alien ship. So my whole goal is to bring you guys to that island. I wanted to give you a ship, and I just wanted to run this adventure. So I really, really liked how this is called Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh. It's the first adventure from Ghosts of Saltmarsh. And honestly, I think a lot of folks say it's one of the better kind of level 1 to 2 scenarios adventures. And that includes the whole, that little town of Saltmarsh, the whole haunted house thing, the caves underneath, and this ship encounter. That's all within that one adventure arc. So I like that a lot. That was a full 5 sessions. And then on the way to the island, so we're still not starting Call for the Deep yet, technically, I ran another adventure from Ghosts of Saltmarsh called Salvage Operation. By the way, huge shout out to Bear Gardner, patron, fan of the show, who did all of these fucking maps, who look incredible. Bear, I hope they're up on your fucking Patreon by now. But the original Call for the Deep and Ghosts of Saltmarsh did not have good maps for VTT, and he provided some amazing map art for all the Ghosts of Saltmarsh content. Salvage Operation was one that I definitely got made explicitly for me, because the original... this is one, by the way, where you stopped. It had a derelict ship, right? Which I love that scenario. That's like a dungeon crawl within a mysterious ship just sitting there in the water, and you're wondering what's going on.
Yeah.
This one I probably changed the most, because the original is like a cultist on here with a bunch of like he's like an evil druid or something. This whole backstory, I don't even quite remember it now. But it was like, it originally had this other crew. They went to an island and they got taken over by cultists. So that now that it's full of cultists on the ship, but then that cultist group got attacked by bad creature. So now it's just laying there derelict. There's a whole backstory here that you never learn when you're doing the adventure itself.
Yeah.
I took all those enemies out and I kept the concept of like exploring this creepy ship, but use the Sawagan basically. I had it like, all right, let's reinforce the fact that the Sawagan are attacking the island. They're being, manipulated and controlled by the mind flayers that are there. So let's just use this as basically a travel encounter from when you guys went from Saltmarsh to the island. I don't know what it's called, Gunderlin, I think. But this was kind of a big dungeon crawl. And this one ended, which I was partly inspired by your Storm King's Thunder campaign, Chris, with the tentacles coming out.
Oh, right, yeah.
So you guys fought your way down to the bottom of this dungeon, basically, to see if there's any survivors or anything, which I think there were. I think you all found some and got them the hell out of there. And then this giant, it's supposed to be just a giant octopus, but I didn't have the octopus there. I just had the giant tentacles come through and start crashing, very 20,000 leagues and tentacles coming through. And I don't think I used a table for this. I think it was just like every round something happened. I probably, in retrospect, I probably could have used one of those randomized tables to make things more fun, but I don't think I had that idea yet. But I did like that scenario. This one only lasted 2 sessions, but technically it's from Ghost of Saltmarsh, but I did like vastly change the enemy makeup of what's going on here. I do think the idea of the octopus coming through to finish the job is part of the original adventure, though.
I have some for this one.
Do it.
Was it absent for this one?
Okay, I
See,
do.
I'm having a little trouble
I-
remembering this myself. Yeah.
One
This
of them
was
that came out
session-
of, like the bathroom or something.
This was session 6 and 7. I do have written down that you were not here for session 7.
Okay.
So you were here for the very beginning of the ship investigation, probably just the top levels, but definitely not the bottom part of it with the tentacles and stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It was one of those where Toro jumped off into the water, I think. and
That's
came back.
right. Yeah.
That was when the scheming star were like, Whirl is up to something.
Yeah. He
He's
disappears and
disappearing when
tentacles
the
come
bad
out.
things happen. So I'll also change it because I think the original was designed for 4th level. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. But this one you were 3rd level for, and then after this, which by the way, 2 sessions to go from 3 to 4, very very quick for us. But that's the way it kind of fell down. We
Yeah.
started the campaign at level 2. That lasted a full 5 sessions with the Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh, and then this salvage operation was 2 sessions to get us to level 4. So we began Call from the Deep properly, the proper storyline of Call from the Deep. At level 4. I want to put you back on the world map, I guess. Yeah, Gunderlin. So then we stopped by, we met Captain Callus, the tiefling pirate guy, had a fun little encounter there. Again, you guys were able to talk him down. At this point, I'm learning, like, okay, the party's actually willing to work with a lot of nefarious characters. That's good to know.
We just encountered them on the sea, right? Like,
that could have been a full combat encounter. That could have been a full ship-to-ship battle, but very quickly, I think it was Sabra who basically talked this guy down, and
By being mean to him.
because he also hinted the fact that he was not aligned with the Tentrix thing, which you guys were also learning about, basically.
Black
The
something, Black Armada?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm starting to
Yeah.
seed all those ideas. You arrive in the town of Gundbarg on the island of Gunderlin. You meet the king with the glorious thighs. We do some shopping. You meet you hear about the fact there's this weird kind of crashed ship on the other side of the island where weird stuff is happening. You even meet a survivor. Remember that guy who couldn't talk very well and he was all fucked up, and he had found him like on the shore. And then a woman named Chandri helped escort you guys across the island toward Fiskerbark. We fought a bunch of harpies where Mac randomly found a +1 bow with the treasure table. I remember that. And then we got to explore the Nautiloid crash site, which is where here. Turn that one off. And this was the first real kickoff to the whole, like, oh shit, there's mind flayers involved. Basically part of the campaign.
This was the hot tub, wasn't it?
Yes, the hot tub with the rats chilling.
Yeah.
The rats in the hot tub. Yep. Yeah, there's like a poison gas trap, I think. You had to fight maybe an intellect devourer. Something to that effect. And then after this, you found you could have chosen a couple different directions to go in. There was the mine. There was and the footprints went off into the water. And you all chose to go to the water first. This is the one where Reese wasn't here for actually 2 sessions, so you don't remember this one at all. So I will show you this map. The underwater dungeon called Wreck of the Golden Crown, which was your first underwater dungeon crawl. Which this one is from Call from the Deep, and I really wanted to use it. And it had the undead wizard who was not hostile and actually told you that his staff had been stolen, which you find that staff later on in the campaign, becomes Savra's staff.
Whatever happened to that guy? The undead wizard?
He's still down. He basically just wanted to live his best life down there, and he just
Oh,
wanted to
okay.
chill.
He didn't even leave. Okay.
Yeah, he basically was just told you guys about the fact that these Sawagan had moved in, and he did not like it, and they had trapped him in his room.
Okay.
He was put in timeout.
Yeah, you guys just got information from him, basically. So you all had to deal with underwater combat, and we got to explore this little kind of mini dungeon crawl, and fought some marrow, fought a Sawagan Baron boss, and then got to save a few people who were taken from the village, basically, that you all had explored. Oh, and then while you were in the village, Burn transformed into like a deep scion, I think, and you had to fight him. That was all very horrific, and you were learning that there was some really creepy kind of eldritch horror-y stuff going on, but really ended up being kind of mind flayer biological mutation stuff, which I like to run with throughout the campaign.
I'm remembering this moment. Is this the moment? I don't remember how it came about, but we were in like a house, and the guy transformed, turned into whatever. We fought him in the house,
Yeah.
turned into a mind flayer, Scion, and we leave the house, and Mac has murdered a bunch of lobsters or something.
Yes, that was from that situation.
Like I remember leaving that fight and being like, and Mac has committed genocide again.
Mac has committed genocide again.
There was some. I think I was.
There was like a curse or madness or something.
Madness, yeah.
Yeah.
Madness sounds right. Where I had like a
Through,
craving.
from his transformation, I believe. I had everybody roll for madness.
Yeah. And he
Yeah,
led him
mine
to
was-
murder a bunch of lobster people or something.
No, didn't say to murder lobster people. It just that you had this strong craving for something. I forget
Craving
what.
for
Yeah, craving for lobster.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Look, I blame the DM. Okay.
I mean, yeah, it's his table.
Sure. All right, we've got our first trivia, which I'll let the player or the viewers join in for this one, which means I'll give it multiple choice, which kind of makes it a little easy. It makes it a little easy, I gotta admit, for some of these.
It's the first one.
Do you want,
Make it easy.
do you want us to answer right away or don't answer right away?
No, you guys can guess. I'm just gonna put it up as a poll. But the question is, how many times did I give out inspiration total
Not
throughout this
enough.
campaign?
Not enough times.
That's usually the answer. Not enough
So, and
times.
I assume you're not counting like MVPC inspiration.
So I'm specifically not counting MVPC inspiration, and I'm also not counting the final, I guess the penultimate battle when you guys had that effect where you could give out inspiration from the
Okay.
ally assist table. Specifically, these were times that the DM just kind of handed out inspiration throughout.
How many sessions were there?
That's another trivia
68?
question, but no, it's 68 sessions.
No, I know the answer because we were making a
It's
joke
on
about
there,
this
yeah.
episode.
68 sessions. You have
I
a
want to
guess?
be generous.
In-
I want to be generous and say he gave at least one per session, but I'm not sure if I am being generous.
being-
Never think it's enough.
I'm gonna go at 47.
You know, what's funny
That's
is
not even on here.
a lot of times I remember that I'll come on the chat afterwards and be like, man, I need to give this person inspiration because of that. So even I'm bad about forgetting like in the moment, but
Yeah.
I do try to afterwards think about it and be like, yeah, I need to give inspiration.
Like we said, not enough.
Yep.
Of course, two of your options are like floating around that number, that once per session number.
Bum bum bum.
I'll go lower. I'm gonna go lower.
Yeah, so I did give out multiple choice. I guess I should announce the multiple choices.
I'll go high.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I'm on the poll.
So how many times did DM give out inspiration this campaign? 50 times, 63 times, 75 times, or 82 times?
All right, well, 50 is closest to my answer. 50.
I'll give it a few. I'll give it a few for folks to get.
I'm
on
gonna
that.
say 63. It's close to one per session,
Yeah.
but not quite.
I'll go 75.
Biddy.
So, Wreck of the Golden Crown ended level 4. So we officially, once we beat the boss here and did the whole underwater dungeon, made it to level 5. So we were level 5 by session 13.
Wow. So we powered through those low levels. Huh?
Yeah, which is also a goal, because I know, especially in Tomb, but that happens where a lot of these campaigns, it just seems like a lot of the there's so much content for like that specific era of player characters, but you just can't use it all because they'll just level out too quickly for it. So I gotta pick and choose the best one. So I think I ended up having to change the Bronzo Mine section. Oh yeah, that's right. I changed the fuck out of this one. I can't even show you the original, I don't think. Oh, maybe I can, because there's a black and white version. Yeah, I could do that one. So Bronzo Mine was the other one. This is where you actually found the Mind Flayer who was here. But I was like, the player just made level 5. I can't in good conscience let them fight a Mind Flayer boss. So instead, he did the bullshit villain thing where you saw him, and then he gets like called away, teleports away, and you end up fighting other monsters, which included a included a roper. You had to fight a roper, and this is the one where I believe Gottwald suplexed the roper into the water.
He was in, yeah, that's right. This cavern in the middle was deep. It was like
Yes.
was like recessed. Yeah. I do remember
Yeah,
this.
and you find
We're
like
hanging
these
from it.
mutant, and
Yeah.
you learned that they basically turned the other villagers into these kind of mutated creatures.
Okay, yeah.
So this could have, and you look at this is a full dungeon, right? I'm showing you guys the map right now. You could do this
Yeah.
as a full dungeon, but I was like, you know what? We just did a full dungeon, and the most interesting thing here is this battle that I concocted because this wasn't really here. So we're just gonna run this like basically a single encounter battle.
Yeah.
The original map, by the way, I'm gonna show this to you. Looks like this.
Oh yeah, okay. Is this what most of the style is?
Yeah, well, notwithstanding of the style, but the original thing is not water; it's a giant pit full of rust monsters.
Oh, Rust Monster. Okay.
So I want you all to know that for the other map, I, through one of the crafting streams, made all this water with Roll20 like pre-made assets and filled in this fucking pit with this water.
Oh,
It looks good, right?
it looks good. It does look good. Yeah.
Just for this one session, I spent so much time working on this stupid pit to make it look. Yeah, because I think if I go to the map, yeah, look, I can start pulling out.
Oh, you can
see?
move the water.
And that's what the original looks like.
Chunks of the water.
Yeah, I'm just pulling.
I
Look
see
at it,
it.
so many chunks of water. It's
good.
insane.
You hit it really well. Like it's
Ah.
kind of seamless.
Yeah,
That's
that
impressive.
was the goal. The answer. Let's see. What do we got here? The most voted is
Nobody voted for 82.
Nobody voted for
Not
82.
a
Nobody believes I give
single
out that much
person.
inspiration.
Yeah, we all know he won't ever give out that much inspiration.
Most of you said 63. 44% of you said that. What did the four of you say for your guesses? Remind me again.
I think two of us said 50. I said 63, and Reese said 75.
Reese is correct.
75?
Total inspiration given by the DM this campaign was 75.
So it was more than once per session.
a
Okay.
little bit more than once per session, yeah.
I think that is.
I feel like the last time we did one of those recaps, we also didn't believe you that time.
I think that's true. I think it is definitely appropriate for all the players to be like, you did not give us enough inspiration.
I don't think so. I don't think that's right.
Even during the second to last session, I had an ability that allowed you to give each other inspiration, and you were still like, you didn't give us enough inspiration. You see what I have to work with here?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's start the next one up.
I don't think we can trust the information coming out of this source anymore.
That's right. It's a biased source.
All right.
Well, that means the chat was wrong too, because 44% of them thought
That's
it was
true.
63.
That is true. Yep.
Only because you poison the well with your little.
I led them. James said it was a labia full of rust monsters. And now I can't unsee it.
Oh no. Oh. Right.
No.
The next poll
No.
All right. Yeah.
is going to be the total critical hits. How many critical hits did all players collectively achieve
Not enough.
through this
You
campaign?
didn't give us enough.
So I did include critical hits that players rolled via their pet/summons, which means I included Tentacle of Deep, I include Cheese, and Savra's Zombies. I think were the main pets that show up to do enough rolls to warrant getting crits, basically. So total number of critical hits, your options...
Can I assume then that you did not include critical hits when we were controlling an NPC?
That is correct. I do have that information, but I didn't include that in this stat.
Okay.
Those numbers are real close together.
Yes, they are.
It could be tricky, yeah. Your options are 78, 86, 89, or 94. How many critical hits? And bonus points because we don't have bonus points. I feel like the who's line. Bonus points don't matter.
Yeah. it don't matter.
Bonus points. Who achieved the most critical hits in this campaign amongst the four of you?
Reese.
Who had the most attacks?
Yeah,
Yeah,
usually,
exactly.
that's usually what it
Who
comes down
attacked the
to.
Definitely was not me.
So after
I'm
Bronzo
aware of my
Mine,
limitations.
I'm gonna go with the lowest. I don't know.
we went. So you officially saw mine,
The
but you didn't get to
highest.
fight them yet. You went back across the island. You got in your ship with the new glorious thighs of the ram on there because you had seen the information there were going to be attacks on cities, or I think attacks specifically on Neverwinter. This is a part of the campaign that I kind of diverged from. The original campaign has you finding information about attacks on Baldur's Gate, Waterdeep, and Neverwinter. Each attack is its own separate thing, with their own enemies and their own goals and everything, and the players get to choose which one they want to do.
Okay.
Instead, I tied everything to Neverwinter, except the town that was you guys were staging from and were from, and I kind of combined multiple, like basically all three of those into one giant attacking force on Neverwinter. And that way I could more properly just expand Neverwinter and what I wanted to do with everything that was going on there, which...
Wait, back at the King and the Gunderland part, we didn't have any like fights or dungeons in that area? Did we just go there and talk to him and leave?
I think so, yeah. We had after the Bronzo Mine battle, my only notes just say travel to Gunbarg, then travel to Neverwinter, and then we had the ship battle.
Okay.
So we could really montage our way.
Yeah, we upgraded our ship there.
You did upgrade the
Yes,
ship,
that's what we
yeah.
did.
I think your upgrade was ready by the time you left, but yeah, I didn't have any more.
Okay.
Because I knew this was the big like marquee action sequence. I
Oh,
wanted to get
that's
to.
right. That's right. Because we landed. Sorry, I got mixed up.
Yeah.
When we landed on the island, we were on the other side of the island. We had to walk across it, right?
Yeah.
And that was the harpies in the mine. Yeah. Okay. I'm with you. Yeah.
Yeah, which means on the return trip, I didn't have you guys encounter anything. You're just back to the town and then could go off on the ship. Yep.
All right.
And then this was the beginning of a very long, complex sequence that I really had to put together myself because, again, I ended up combining all these different factions into one. Like, the other one has, like, just the Ghost Pirates attacking Neverwinter, and then just, like, the Deep Scions or whatever attacking Baldur's Gate or something. But so I combined all three of them into one big attacking force. And I also used the mutants from Gunderland also as a shock troop force to attack here. So I had to come up with some sea battle opportunities for you guys to literally break through the siege with your ship and, you know, crash into other ships and basically fight off the Sawagan who are kidnapping people, which is this particular map. There was this map where you had a scenario where you had to save a bunch of people from sharks in the water. So I'm kind of creating like random encounters within this action sequence. And then at one point you had a ship-to-ship battle. For some reason I don't... Is it this battle? No, can't find that battle. You guys did have a ship-to-ship battle, which was the battle that Mac eventually got his Scimitar of Speed from. I think we forgot it for like 3 sessions. Like, oh, by the way, that magic sword you got from the one pirate was a Scimitar of Speed.
Oh, because I remember this one too. Because this is the fight where we were shoving people off the ship all over the place.
Yeah.
Like everyone was in the water.
I don't have the ship battle, but I do have this one. This was the actual docks battle. This one is
I remember
literally
this
I had to construct myself because there was nothing I could find that did what I wanted to do. So this is all using Roll20 assets. I put together basically the Neverwinter docks being attacked with a shit ton of tokens on there, and this giant like mutant whale thing coming up on the docks. This campaign honestly had a lot of fun moments for me to get a chance to do these kind of big epic like cinematic sequences and then try to figure out how to run them in Dungeons and Dragons.
Right.
And it lasted basically this particular so the dock battle lasted a session, the harbor battle lasted a session, and the ship battle lasted a full session. So like each of these was a big long sequence. All right, what are y'all guesses on total critical hits?
I said 63.
86.
No, sorry.
94.
Yeah. So I said 78. I'm guessing it was Toro. I do think it was Toro. It's either Toril or me because we're the only two that were making like multiple attacks every round.
Mac, once he gets Scimitar of Speed, makes like 3 attacks.
Oh, that's
every
true.
round.
I forgot about. I did forget about the Scimitar of Speed. That one, but he wasn't using that consistently. Like
I would say later in the campaign, he used it a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there were times where he was attacking more than you until you got your third attack.
That is very true. Yes.
Yeah, don't forget, like, Reese rolled 3 crits in a row at one point.
Right.
Yes, he did. So the answer for total critical hits by players was the lowest voted option here. It was 86.
Yes.
Wait, the lowest voted option.
The lowest voted option by the player by the chat right now.
I thought you said
86. And most crits definitely does go to Toril. Yeah. I have it written down that Toril achieved, or do we have a guess for that real quick? How many criticals did Toril alone achieve?
64.
86.
Every single critical hit we had was Toril.
33.
Like,
I'm going to go with half. 43.
I'll say 40, yeah. We're also including his tentacles, and he was constantly attacking with his tentacles too. Yeah.
I'm saying like 50.
You were all on the right page. That definitely Toril, yes, because he had that bonus action attack for a while, and then the Eldritch Blast, or multiple attacks, and then if you remember, I gave him that arm tentacle thing, and that thing always attacks 3 times, so he got a lot of hits in. The correct answer is 28. So pretty fucking close.
Okay.
Yeah. Pretty fucking close.
A little over a third in a 4-person party.
Yeah. You did a lot of hits. That was a lot of hits. It's always a fun stat. So what do we think about the Neverwinter Siege sequence? This is the most like custom stuff that I had. This is all level 5. I guess we could also include the way it ended, which was the House of Knowledge dungeon crawl was technically part of the same quest line as well.
Yeah. Is this the bit where I'm not sure if it's the same ship battle where we thought we were about to fight Tentric, like we saw him?
Yes, it was.
But he left.
Yes.
Yeah.
He did his like Kraken ability and like feared people and stuff. Yeah, I wanted to have him there so you could at least see him, and you wanted to go after him, but I was definitely not prepared for you to fight him right there.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it was very cool. I don't remember taking like 4 sessions, but that's pretty impressive.
Well,
just fight after fight.
But the nice thing is, like I said, each fight was a different scenario. Like one fight was like we're on our ship, we're fighting another ship. Another thing was like we're on our ship, but we're rescuing people from a down ship. Another thing was like we are in the docks now. We've like parked our ship, and now we're getting off the ship to fight and rescue people on the docks. So I tried to break it up, but it really was like one big action sequence.
Right.
And then you also see these ghost pirates coming through the thing. You're like, I guess we could go fucking chase those ghost pirates.
Let's go deal with ghost pirates now. Why not?
This was also the situation where I pulled out Kalinar, if you remember.
Oh, that's right.
I had Kalinar come out and do like his fucking anime entrance, and he like killed that giant whale thing and did a whole bunch of cool shit, and then basically told you guys like, "Go, I got this."
Yeah, I do remember that.
I was very excited to be able to use some of our past characters, very literally, and not just in like mentioning.
Yeah.
I'm setting up our next poll.
Yeah, I like those big sprawling brawls that just have tons of small guys that you can sort of figure out fun ways to funnel them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Almost a tactical puzzle at that point, where you're like, all right, I need to like shut down this group of people over here, and then lock down this guy over here. Where's my trivia? That one.
We haven't gotten to it yet, but I think my favorite one of those, we'll get to it, but is the Tentric's base where we all got separated. We were all having our own individual fights inside that base.
We will get to that. That was absolutely insane moment for sure. All right, the next poll is how many times did the PCs go down to 0 hit points during this campaign?
Well, Toro got at
Oh,
least
boy.
one.
Yeah. And then the bonus point question will be which specific PC went down the most times in this campaign?
Manic.
The answer is always Manix.
It's Manix.
Even while this adventure is going on, Manix is just having his own
He's in the
adventure, but he's going down
background
multiple
getting
times.
That would be a funny as shit. That'd be like the South Park Kenny gag in the background. Just randomly getting killed. So this one ended with the House of Knowledge sequence, the dungeon, which each of the original areas so I mentioned there's 3 cities being attacked in the original campaign. Each one has its own specific dungeon crawl that the enemies are trying to get to. And this was, I thought, the most interesting one out of those 3. Was this kind of temple. And I loved the idea of it being an aboleth that runs the temple, and I really ran with it. The aboleth, in fact, I had teased many sessions ago that it was speaking to Toril and was trying to bring him here and trying to give him information. And the big tease, of course, is you guys were making your way down here trying to figure out what these bad guys were doing. It turns out they were trying to murder this aboleth. So you get here and you basically save...
These were the ghost pirates, or these are different guys?
These were the ghost pirates, yeah. That's what all the skeletons and guys are for.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah, the actual Kuatoa and those guys are actually the temple guys in here that you're basically rescuing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got to save the aboleth in a kind of a cool little dungeon crawl sequence here.
I don't know if we ever got any more clarification on this guy, but was he actually working for the Kraken or allied with him, or was he just sort of on his a separate entity altogether?
He was a separate entity, and I think the idea was just that he was just aware that this, and this was important in Quest Game NBC because he knew the situation. He could tell that there was a problem. It's almost like he was he's another rival corporation, but he knows another corporation has been suddenly taken over by brain slugs.
Right.
And his interest is mostly self-preservation, where he's like, well, I don't want to be brain slugged. Goodness me. If the bigger corporation is going to get brain slugged, then surely I'm next. So it's definitely out of it's not out of empathy or altruism to try and go save the Kraken. But his is hey, I know this is happening. It's a problem. It's going to be a problem for all of us. So you need to go take care of it.
Okay, yeah.
So that was the impetus there. And that was the big final boss fight, which was not the aboleth. You guys got to fight with the aboleth. You actually you fought the ghost pirate as a ghost pirate captain, I guess, is the boss for level 5. Then you got several different... This was kind of a almost downtime moment where you got several follow-ups and quest lines you could go to, but of course the way I gave them to you, one of them was literally in the city itself, so I knew you were going to do that one next. But you could follow up on several different leads, and one of them was to follow up where the ghost pirates came from, which they came from this floating island near Neverwinter, which you all got to meet a traveling salesman of Genocider from Icewind Dale,
right.
From a contraption that Edmund had built, and take his airship up to the Skyhold. What was that one called? Pirate Skyhold. I think it was this map I used. Yeah. I threw a bunch of sturges at you guys.
I have no memory of this place.
So much of this
I remember,
how did this happen?
I remember. Oh, I don't remember this part. I remember wrestling an alligator on this island. That's all. That's kind of
yes, that did happen. So, your airship crashed because, of course, it did. I love crashing airships. Crashed.
You love crashing ships in general.
I do love crashing ships in general. It's a nice thing to fall back on, I find.
When in doubt, crash the ship.
For this particular scenario, none of this. So this is one of the things that was mentioned in Call from the Deep as hey, this could be an adventure nugget, but there was no map, there was no dungeon, nothing really involved here. So I had to kind of come up with a thing. I utilized, I think, 2 different maps to make this map of this floating swamp village of lizard folk.
This is an impressive map. It's big and
it is big. This is Seafoot Games, which is where I find a lot of great maps from. And then I turned it into a floating island by adding all of the sky pieces.
I can kind of see that now at the top edge. I'm like, oh yeah, you put the rocks on the edges.
Yes, 100%.
Yep. Turn it into it. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, because it had the cliff and it had the castle and everything, which is amazing.
Right.
Yeah, it's a big map. So this is a scenario where you guys crashed into this into this village. You learned that the lizard folk are not all hostile, but like some of them are, and they're kind of like oppressing the others. So you could kind of got involved in a little bit of lizard folk politics, I guess. Kind of helped free them. So there was a battle here, and I think that's when you wrestled an alligator. Yeah. In fact, it was this one right here, I think. This is also where you guys got the Ghostbuster moment, because the airship crashed and you lost your air elemental that powered the airship. So you had to go capture the air elemental.
Right.
So you guys have to do that scenario. Then you went up to the castle. You had to withstand a bunch of, I don't know, grenades and things being thrown at you. Fought your way through a bunch of skeletons and honestly just kicked ass completely. I was shocked by how much I was planning on having the boss, the pirate captain boss, come out when there were still like half the guys left. Instead, he came out when there were like 2 people left. I was like, oh no,
It's too late.
He is so donezo. I felt bad about that one. And then you realize that he was hired. I think you defeat all them, and he was hired by a black dragon, and that ended up being just a conversation. And this is, of course, the black dragon that Sabra keeps talking about that she's going to go return to because he was very into the whole necromancy thing, and they bonded over that. So it was a pretty easy conversation to talk to the black dragon to get more information about the liaison that had hired basically his ghost pirates out, which was, of course, our friend Ned. Ned's back.
Ned returns. And you all got to meet Ned in a tavern and battle Ned, who got a awesome token courtesy of Demnix.
Oh, Nedrick.
And he turned into a deep scion for additional fight, which was fun. So you got to close your books on that one. So that was a really cool excuse to use that character. So a lot of this I had to homebrew my way through. But I loved the idea of the floating isle, the swamp village, the ghost pirate follow-up, the black dragon, and then being able to use Ned in this situation just was really cool, I thought. And being able to use the airship thing, of course, was a blast as well.
The one thing I remember about this particular map and fight is this is the map where we had the big moral quandary where everyone was accusing us of being bad people because we told everybody there was going to be a fight and people didn't leave. So when the fight broke out, you were like, these tokens are civilians. We're like, no, they're not. We killed them all because they're in a pirate bar and they didn't leave when we said there's going to be a fight in here.
I mean, some people cower, but yeah, that's
Pretty sure I killed almost all of them.
You did. You gravity welled the bar. Is what you did.
Gravity welled the bar. There were deaths.
Yep.
Yeah, and then we had a literal downtime thing because we had a session that did not have Chris or Reese in it, which was a pretty rare one, but we went in and did the session, and we did I think this is from Kobold Press's Wayward Towers anthology. I don't know if Heather and Raymond remember this, but this is where the two of you, I think it was literally just the two of you on this little mission to follow up on this like bandit crew that were in this tower.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the one where she embiggened Mac, I think, for reasons, or maybe Mac somehow grew. I don't remember how that happened. But you guys fought your way through everything. I forget.
There was Godzilla style.
Yeah, there was a whole heist.
Oh, that's right, because we started at the top and worked our way down instead of going from the bottom to the top like you wanted us to.
You didn't expect that.
Yes, well, that is written in. There's multiple entrances, there's windows, there's balconies that fall down, there's all kinds of ways into this place. It's very heisty, basically. We basically didn't see two of the rooms. We essentially went into the ceiling and then went down and then started a battle, and that just slowly like aggroed everybody in the room to where there was a big battle. But it ended up being a one session dungeon crawl with just 2 players. So kind of a unique situation. Nice. And that officially ended level 6 for us. All right, where are we at with the poll? So the total times the PCs went down to 0 hit points. What are you all's guesses for this?
14.
Your options are 14, 16, 18, and 21.
14.
Yeah, I think 14.
Yeah.
We overestimate our abilities and underestimate yours.
That is very true, and I'm happy to announce that once again the least voted on option is the correct one by all of you. Total number of times players went down this campaign was 21 times. 21 times.
Wow. Okay.
You
must have gotten up pretty fast.
As a bonus question, who went down the most?
Oh, well.
Yeah, I'd like to say Mac, but I think it might have been Gottwald.
Are there really that many lingering injuries?
No, but I suspect it's because me and Mac were making our con saves.
Well, that and we tend to get them healed pretty quickly. It seems you guys find ways to get them healed.
Mac,
Every once in a while,
Gottwald was fucked up for a while. Where I remember there was a whole thing where you guys were trying to heal him on the boat.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
let's
forget
go
what it
Gottwald.
was.
Every once in a while, some of them linger for a while, but it seems like a lot of times you guys are getting a chance to heal them. You're close, but the person who went down the most was Sabra.
Sabra?
Squishy wizard. The squishy
Okay.
wizard.
I guess you got up quick. I don't remember. Yeah.
How many times did I go down? I only remember like a handful.
33.
I would ask, but you guys have sucked on this so far.
Yeah.
Sabra went down 7 times. Gottwald
So third,
went
or
down
a
6 times. Mac went down 5 times. Toril, only 3. And you know what? Toril, all 3 of his first was session 2, getting stabbed by Ned.
Mhm.
His other 2 were in session 4. So he did not go down in this campaign
2.
since session 4.
Well, you know what happened. I remember what
He
happened.
multi-class
You were
fighter.
down. You were
and-
you were downing him, and we said, "Fuck you! I'm taking a level fighter."
Yes. That's exactly right. And I never touched him again.
All of mine earlier in the campaign too.
No, not necessarily. You were actually spread out pretty much throughout. In fact, you might have been, or well, you did. Okay, so I will say the single deadliest session we had was session 4, which was that sea ghost fight, the ship fight. We literally had Toril went down twice, and Mac and Sabra each went down once. It was a very dangerous fight where I literally oh shit, we're gonna get TPK'd here.
Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise it was just kind of spread out. The other big nasty was session 37, where Max, Sabra, and Gottwald all went down to the Mind Flayer boss fight in the styes. We're not quite there yet on a recap.
Mm.
But otherwise, yeah, it just kind of gets spread out. In terms of the last couple sessions, like, obviously Mac went down to the final battle. Gottwald went down to the Banshee Whale in the dungeon.
That's right.
Mac went down to Escape Mutant. Sabra's last time that she went down was getting trampled by her own elephant that she saw.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that I remember. Damn, what a wonder.
My own elephant.
That was truly amazing. We'll get to that insanity here pretty soon. All right, let me set up the next poll while we're doing that. Yeah, chat, you really suck at this, chat. I gotta say, y'all are really just absolutely shit in the bed on the answers here.
Don't be mean to chat. They will turn on you for anything
Yeah,
you do in the
exactly.
future.
All right,
Chat giveth and chat taketh away.
we'll do an easy one. What I think is an easy one.
Also, these numbers are not too far away.
Hey, I'm giving you options though. I don't have to give options.
Yeah, you know. It's like a multiple choice test where they just misspell the name. It's like the same name 4 times, but they're spelled differently.
All right, we'll do what I think is an easier one. But
Ooh, isn't that a thing? Like where you see like a whole bunch of versions of a logo and it's only one of them is correct?
Yeah.
Like Fruit Loops.
Right. Which one is the real one?
how many total CRIT giveaways were there throughout this campaign?
This one's easy for you?
All right, maybe not.
I don't think I have any idea when ever this
They
happened.
happened every 20 crits.
Yeah,
Do the math.
Oh.
you could do the math.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Let's do arithmetic.
Well, maybe because it's not just crit miss. Remember,
Arithmetic.
I also gave it for natural 20 on ability checks, and saving throws, but not for initiative. So very specific
right.
nat
Yeah.
20s. But you do know how many sessions there are. Maybe you can average out from there. But how many total times did basically we trigger our Cauldron of Really Interesting Things giveaways. By the way, I started a giveaway tonight, because normally in the past we've done giveaways live and done that whole thing, but there's just too much involvement for that. So I'm just sticking to pure automation on the Discord. I do have a very cool giveaway, though, courtesy of Roll20. I can give away 3 copies of the new D&D 2024 Monster Manual on Roll20. You got to be on our Discord server and go to the giveaway channel. But that giveaway is going on right now and will be available. And if you can't get there right now, don't worry about it. It'll be up for most of tomorrow. But be sure to get down for that, because that's it's very, very handy having all the freaking tokens and stat blocks and everything already lined up for you. So the question is, not including this giveaway, how many times, because we didn't quite trigger the next one by this campaign, but how many times did we hit 20 and basically trigger a CRIT giveaway? I think it's good information to have for how often that triggers for how many sessions.
7.
Let's see, where are we at now? We're at level 7, so we begin. So we're finally, all of this was called from the deep. Now we get back to a Ghost of Saltmarsh content, which is the Sahuagin Stronghold. This was a very, very big area. And to start, you all sailed down to Red Rocks. You had a Sahuagin attack. I believe Chandri, your NPC from Gunderland, was killed in this attack, if I recall correctly.
Who's Chandri?
Who's Chandri? Yep, the NPC from Gunderland that helped guide you all through that campaign and was so memorable.
But what did she do for us lately?
Yeah, she died.
Is she the one who actually healed me on the ship? She might have been.
She might have been. Yeah, she was literally a cleric. She was like a low-level cleric stat block.
Mm-hmm.
You all went to, I guess I should maybe
Oh yeah, the cleric. I remember being a little sad when we lost the cleric.
a little sad.
Yeah.
This is where you all went down to Thornhold down here towards Red Rocks, and you actually went to what I ended up using as Miri's ancestral home. You met her parents or something, and they basically told you about the fact that the Sahuagin had taken over this lizard folk lair that was this peninsula, but then they sunk it in the water, and that was where they were doing their staging grounds, the main Sahuagin headquarters. This was the follow-up. You're all right, we're gonna go we're gonna wipe out the Sahuagin threat for the Sword Coast. But first you had to go talk to lizard folks and get some information, some intel from them. And that's where I pulled the oh shit, what is it called? Somebody in chat can help me out. It's the other Ghost of it's either Saltmarsh, the middle one that I forget what it's called. But anyway, it's got a lizard folk lair, but it's a huge dungeon that you're not supposed to fight through. So instead, I use the idea of that one where it's you learn that they're not the threat; it's actually the Sahuagin that are the threat, and I just turned it into a handful of swamp encounters. Which the first one was against these weird, I don't know, creepy death stench hippo creature things, and then you went to the lizard folk camp where I think we had a one-on-one duel, which I like doing in our campaigns. Also, I think this was Gottwald versus a Lizardfolk Queen stat block, where
okay,
you got to fight somebody one-on-one as kind of a, I don't know, proving ground thing. So you get information from the Lizardfolk. Basically, you get a map. You get maps of the Sahuagin dungeon that you have to infiltrate, and you have to come up with this whole battle plan where your NPCs are going to take your ship and basically distracting, because the whole area is patrolling with Sahuagin, so that you can infiltrate it, and you actually have a goal of killing their leadership, and then maybe trying to rescue anybody inside. Your goal is not to just go in and defeat everybody, because there's a whole army of Sahuagin in there. So instead, you've got just
that's right,
certain goals to do.
We're trying to avoid the armies in there. I remember this now. Yeah.
Yeah, and this honestly ended up being a huge section of the campaign, because it was just such a giant fucking map, which you guys can see right now.
Lord, yeah.
It is enormous. You guys came in the prison cell area, so you actually met with, this is when you met Borges.
Oh, really?
Yep, you infiltrate, so session 26, I think? 6 or 7.
That's impressive. He lasted
I
know. He was there for 2/3 of the...
the most surprised. Yeah, absolutely insane.
Borges down.
Yep, you met Borges. You also learned about Kish because you could see the arena fight down there, and you guys were in stealth mode, right? You're trying to like get all this done without alerting enemies. So you're at one point Mac like swam into the arena and helped Kish out basically. You had patrols coming after you. Yeah, it's this whole section is probably the one I regret the most, not because I didn't like it, but because just the overall dungeon design, you could tell it's very old school D&D where it's just humongous and it's a lot of just hallways and square rooms.
Oh yeah.
And it just doesn't end up we don't end up using but like half the content here. I mean, if you can see the map, like we used hardly any of this. It's just way too big.
Yeah, well, I don't think we use anything south of the arena.
No, for sure not. Because there's stairs, yeah. And there's 3 levels. You guys are on level 3. Which is the top level for some stupid fucking reason.
I remember this conversation.
We had an argument about that, yeah. And I was like, look, I'm not the one that did this.
Yep.
Yeah, and
you're the one who condoned it.
Yeah, I guess I did. You had to fight your way through level 3, or you saved Kish and Borges to an extent. You had that one epic moment where Borges saved Mac, basically. You did have a big boss battle in the middle here on level 2 against the Temple Priestess and a Chul, I think. If you look to the north, we never did actually fight the king that was up here. That was a whole fight you could have done. Just a gigantic situation. But again, there was just so much going on in this dungeon.
Right.
And like you can't long rest in here. Like it's just crazy.
Yeah.
So once you take out the temple, and I was like, you know what? If they do that, fine, that's enough. So you took out the temple enemy, and there's still like reinforcement possibilities everywhere. I mean, I put all this shit on the map, and it's just
there's so many tokens.
There's so many tokens. It's way too much. It's way too much.
I imagine some of these rooms are like you put this many tokens to basically tell us like don't go in here. Like this is not you can't go in here.
Right? Yeah. That's essentially once you like. I think a few times Max showed up and he was like, nope, that's full of dudes.
Yeah.
What are y'all?
Is this the first time for the Hunger of Bill Hader?
You know, it might be. I'm seeing it on the map for the first time, so that might be the first scene of it. Yeah. And it might be just the level you had just gotten it, maybe, but you're something that level.
Yeah.
What were y'all's guesses on the total CRIT giveaways?
10.
3, 5, 7, or 10?
5.
10.
The correct answer, the chat actually got it right this time.
7?
7. We had 7 CRIT giveaways. By the end of this campaign, but we were like 16 out of 20 at the very end, so we're very, very close.
Nice
to an 8th one. But I'm giving y'all giveaways right now, so you can't complain.
Yeah.
Let's see. Next.
They can still complain.
You could still complain. Yeah, it's free. So yeah, this sequence was very, very long and just absolutely insane. Do another poll. All right, another poll is whoops, make sure I have the right answer in there. That's embarrassing.
It's a trick question.
It's a trick question.
None of these are the right answer.
None of them are right. Let's not establish that as a thing. You'll never trust me again. Or you'll trust me less than usual. Total number of short rests.
Not enough.
Total number of short rests. I know you guys track that information. Come on.
That has to be a lot. We got a lot more short rests than we did long rests.
Right.
That's.
I mean, I don't know if you may have this as a trivia at some point, but there are whole levels where we didn't get a long rest. Where like the level itself was one adventuring day essentially.
Oh, I wrote it down.
We'll get to that when I do long rest, sir.
It's right under there.
And then for level 1 of this dungeon, if you recall, so by now I was like, all right, we had spent how many sessions doing this?
A lot.
So we spent the first 2 with the lizard folk and getting to the point. So this Sawagan Stronghold began on session 26. 27 was the arena. 28 was getting to level 2. 29 was the temple battle. So we spent a solid like 4 sessions doing this. So I was like, all right, For level
Gotta get out of
1, instead of doing any of level 1, I think we did like the very first room, which is down here. Which is why you see everybody in a line right here. I was like, you know what? Chase sequence. It's all chase sequence here.
This is the 90-degree angle.
This is the 90-degree angle turn that Gottwald fears the right turns. That's right. Yep. So for that session, I literally just had you guys, once you fought this initial battle, you all just had to flee through these, which you can see the long ass way that like no way you're dragging your tokens through this. It would have been the entire left side of the map from south to north. I was like, yeah, we're not doing that.
Dear Lord. Yeah.
So instead, I just didn't even use it.
Our tokens are on here twice. Yeah.
We're just gonna theater the mind this whole chase sequence and just roll on the tables basically, and had this whole system for the chase. And then once you got to the end, then you had the very quick scenario of opening the gate and basically going out the front door, and then also had your allies out there helping you in. So there was instead of in lieu of a big boss fight for this whole dungeon, it was just the big chase sequence. Which I did enjoy doing that, even if chase sequences are kind of hard to do in D&D.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah.
It was a fun excuse to just kind of leave this dungeon in an exciting way. And honestly, a theme throughout this campaign was manufacturing these just big cinematic climactic moments that were very action movie-ish to me, or disaster movie or whatever.
Yeah.
So that finally ended the Sahuagin Stronghold, which all told, if you include this entire quest arc, was 8 sessions long.
Oh, wow.
Pretty damn lengthy. That was all level 7, and again, this was all from Ghosts of Saltmarsh. These giant-ass maps, which I have mixed feelings about in the end. Then began level 8, which was the Styes. This one, also from Ghosts of Saltmarsh. It's the highest level one from Ghosts of Saltmarsh. And was probably one of my favorite sections, and I presume one of y'all's favorite sections as well. Which was the creepy, dark, smoky town investigation of murders, of a serial killer murder specifically.
Yeah.
And realizing through the investigation that the serial killer was basically mind controlled by a mind flayer, and had also co-opted the Kraken Society. Here's when I finally really started getting to the Kraken Society stuff. And I like that situation a lot. And we also, I think for the first time, had 2 sessions back-to-back with no fighting whatsoever.
Oh, really?
Which was very unique. It was a whole lot of just investigating.
Well, God, for some reason, I remember the jokes more than anything else. What was the joke here? It was the shrimp place.
Oh, yeah, yes, we did. I think it was the new shrimp place on the docks. Yeah,
that's a new shrimp place.
There's a new shrimp place. Yeah, we did talk about that. That ended up being a repeating joke. Yeah, I think like Matt got to like throw his like top weight around in a lot of cases and chat people up. I think Savra used detect thoughts on somebody at one point. It was a really fun situation and not one that we normally do, and it felt a lot different than a lot of the more actiony stuff that we were doing up to this point as well. So that led us to the warehouse where you guys did like a heist thing with the warehouse, which was fun because I had no idea any of this was planned. You guys literally stopped like a cart.
As being like
and some of you like climbed in the boxes and others were like the drivers and getting inside. And there was a whole thing where
somebody was in a box. Mac was disguised as one of the guards or workers. Yeah, I
think we lost Reese again.
You had to squeak. Yeah. I think he was stuck in a box the whole scenario.
I think Toril got put in one of the boxes.
He got put in the box.
And we just kind of said, like, yeah, the box is still there.
This
Toril
whole area
isn't come out yet.
Easily one of my favorites of the game because of how you guys handled everything was amazing. Not just this warehouse sequence, like the whole story arc. Was amazing, but even getting here was you realize this was like the place you had to investigate. It was a full dungeon crawl, but you guys treated it like a heist at first, and then once you go upstairs, you see that there's like a mana cores up there you have to fight, and then you get to where there's this rickety bridge, thing with the ship on it.
Oh yeah, we're knocking people off of that.
Yeah, there's the deep. They turn into deep scions. The guards are actually deep scions. They're a lot tougher than you think. And then the boat is actually its own map, which is down here. Which has the creepy Mr. Dory in there. This was one where the book actually called for much harder stat block creatures to use that I didn't want to. And they were like aboleth. That's right. This one I had to change because the villain is still a baby kraken, but it's an aboleth doing all this. And I changed it to be a mind flayer because that fit better with my campaign. But the enemies were these cool like aboleth spawn creatures. Where I'm like, that's not really thematically appropriate anymore. So I replaced those with the deep scion creatures.
Okay, yeah.
And that one led to this temple battle, which I thought you guys were going to get fucked because at one point, somebody, I forget who it was, drops through, maybe it was Mac, who drops through this hole and has to fight like a pair of Chul. But then the Chul couldn't hit anything worth a shit and just didn't do. I was like, what are you guys doing? Yeah, is this okay? So I did use them. That's these guys. I used like one or two of them whenever the worshippers like merged together and formed this like nasty creature or something.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, it's kind of a mini boss fight. These were like the minions used in the warehouse for before. I was like, holy shit.
Okay.
That's gonna be too much. This is your first time you actually fought a Mind Flayer as a boss fight, though. And it was one of the named Mind Flayers from the campaign. Not the same one from Bronzo Mine, a different one. There were 4 named Mind Flayers. But he was just basically doing all his evil stuff to empower a Kraken spawn. Which I didn't end up using that. Well, I did actually have that Kraken spawn show up again at one time, but I didn't have anything. I didn't have any specific goals for that thing. But for sure, after that fight, I was like, you guys cannot fight this thing now. It's going to be way too nasty.
So we just let it go? Is that what happened?
You freed it, yeah, from the Mind Flayer's control, which was good, but it ended up just getting freed. And it did resurface one more time.
Okay.
But this was one of the hardest fights you guys had to battle, which was the Mind Flayer plus the Chul in the pit. Plus, he had his newest serial killer protege lined up ready to attack. Also, the Mind Flayer, I think, once or twice was able to use Dominate Monster, and I believe this is the time where I dominated Mac, and he like dominated Gottwald, and he downed Mac. And that's where Demnix used the invincible art of like Gottwald.
That's what I need to be doing as we go through these. I need to be just scrolling through our Discord for God from the Deep and looking at his art.
Yeah.
We get to the.
All right, what's your guess for total number of short rests? 28, 31, 34, or 38?
34.
38.
Chat's kind of all over this one. The total short rest answer is not quite right by any of you, I think. It is 28 short rests.
28.
28 short rests
than
in
most of us
our
thought. Okay.
68 session campaign.
That is the lowest option. Okay.
I try to mix it up a little bit. You don't want to always be right in the middle, right? Sometimes you
throwing
gotta be
us
the
off
low
the
end.
set. Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta be in the high end. You gotta throw it off. This is how the testing works.
Yep.
So maybe based on
Which
that,
means we short rested about twice per level. That would be 24, right? Because we made it to 12.
You did make it to 12, yeah. But we did have a lot of sessions so one difference, unlike a lot of like Princes and Tomb, where you guys technically made it to 12 like for the very last session or two, you guys were actually 12 for like 9 sessions or something in this campaign. Like it was a bunch.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't know if that messes up the pacing or whatever, but that is a little bit different than other campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get the next one started. Which of course is going to be total long rests.
Not 28.
How many times? Yeah, you can guess that the long rests are not quite as often as short rests. How many times did the party long rest this campaign?
We know at least 12 because we made it to level 12.
At least 12.
At least 12, yeah. We started at level 2, but yeah.
Although I do seem to remember there was, in this campaign, there might have been one time where you leveled this up without a long rest for some very specific reason.
That actually does sound familiar.
I don't remember what it was, but...
Yeah, I don't remember either. I thought it usually is tied to a long rest, but...
It usually is, yeah. Because I mean, you're not getting your hit points, and it becomes awkward because you get more hit points. Yeah.
So yeah, I really like the styes a lot. That was from Ghost of Saltmarsh, which a lot of people say this one and Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh are probably the best ones from that anthology.
Okay, yeah.
So after that, and this was just kind of a side jump, but you did end up killing like one of the Mind Flayers. Like that's a big deal. Like you killed one of their big productions, basically. Then it was finally time to follow up on taking out Tentrix, which you knew of, I think, ever since you took out Ned. You kind of knew the general location. And the way I worked this is that Tentrix is just chilling in his lair with all of his pirate lords, and it's just a single dungeon crawl with the driftwood docks outside. So I brought some of his pirate lords out into the world and then used some of the dungeons that are some of those like, hey, maybe you can use these in your campaign kind of a thing. And sprinkled that throughout this next section, which I called Pirate Lords, which was you all kind of going around to different areas and different mini dungeons and tracking down the Pirate Lord. Because first you went to Mintarn, met with Captain Callus again. One of the Pirate Lords attacked you all, the Slod Pirate Lord.
Oh, the big fat frog?
Yeah, this is the one where you all had a lot of collateral damage, and Captain Callus actually was like, fuck these guys, and basically left and never to return.
Oh, is this the one I was thinking of earlier?
I think so, yeah.
I may have been wrong. Is this
I think so.
Well?
This might be the one you were referencing. Yeah, this is because I used the exact same tavern map, I believe.
Oh, that's why. My visual memory failed me here.
Yeah. This is one where you guys basically stopped at this port to just chill out, I guess. I forgot if I had a quest for you here, but Captain Callus was here, met you, and told you about the Pirate Lords specifically, gave you their dossiers, and said that it's probably good to stop them through all their shenanigans. And then I surprised you by having one of them be there already, unveil himself in a big tavern brawl, and you guys ended up having a bunch of big AoE stuff that hurt a lot of existing pirates here that weren't part of the bad guy crew, and that pissed off Callus, so he ended up retreating.
Okay, that this is what I was remembering, because I felt that through Callus, you, the DM, were judging us.
Yeah, I definitely was. I was like, well, all right. But to be fair, like there's no cops here. I mean, it's kind of the classic Mos Eisley situation where it's a rough and tumble area where you can get hurt. But what you did was lose Callus as a recurring NPC ally. Basically, I really did have him like leave, and he did not return. So that was like a video game moment where it's like, hey, this person will remember that.
Yeah.
So he fucked off. And that was a tease for one of the Pirate Lords who would show up later in the giant Tentrix lair sequence. So after this, you all had a couple different locations to go to. I think you had 2 different ones in addition to going down to Tentrix. You could go to the Iron Hand Cairn or to the underwater dungeon of Narino. Iron Hand Cairn is where we had our Burrow Barrow situation forever. Another moment where Ray left the fight and entered a whole other dungeon and began dungeon crawling through that dungeon while you guys were still in the middle of this fight with these mutant giants outside.
Yeah.
I think, you fought.
Right. Turned out fine.
It turned out fine, but it was very strange for me as a DM to operate somebody doing a dungeon crawl and then back and forth to. And I think for the longest time, Ray did not legitimately know he was going through a dungeon. And hence why we had the Burrow Barrow. He was just like, what is going on here?
How did he do it? Was it a gaseous form? Is that what it was? Like he just
I think that's how we slipped into here, yeah.
That's right. I asked you what the weather's been lately to figure out how dry the earth was. And if I could slip through the cracks.
Dry the earth. Because you can't slip through water.
I can't slip through water.
Moist ground
this is where he starts. One of the questions the DM is like, how moist is the air here? And I was like, what are you trying to do?
It didn't rain recently.
Let's just go to the end of the questions and just ask me what you want to do. Yeah, so this was the this tomb, which one of the Pirate Lords is plundering, essentially. Oops, this is not the right map. Which is my map then?
Was it this
one?
An unused map?
Okay. I literally put this on top of the old one if you can see it.
Okay.
Turn off the dynamic lighting.
Yeah. Oh, you did?
I literally put it on top of the old one.
Nice. Did you build it, or was it? This is like an actual map.
And I had to use Roll20 assets to put this one together because I liked the design of this map, but I didn't have anybody that had it because it was from Call from the Deep, and I was like, I don't have this map available. You know, the other one you saw was the only one I found. And I was like, I don't like this one, so I literally I did the Thanos fine, I'll do it myself thing.
This is the great example of how dynamic lighting like helps your cause as a DM, because
Right.
we had no idea this was
It
all
looked
so
this shitty
scattershot.
outside. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Look
insane.
fine to us because we couldn't see past the walls.
This was the insane fucking. This whole sequence just went so off the rails with Mac becoming so separated from the party. So it was Mac that triggered the Pirate Lord, which is the Storm Maiden, coming through with her crew to loot this tomb. He joins them, pretends
That's
he
right.
quit you guys, joins
Did he
their
pretend?
team.
Did he really pretend?
Did he really pretend? And ends
I
up
ended up with they all like in at the end.
in the final thing against the ghosts with just him, and I was not prepared for any of this. With him and the Storm Maiden, and it was NPCs versus a bunch of enemy NPCs. At the same time, you guys are like entering the dungeon.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck.
He's having his whole other story. That's just
Well, he's triggering all the things that are happening. And
Yeah,
you guys
yeah.
It's like you know what it is. It's an MMO where like there's you're like waiting in line for the spawns, and you can see like another party that's already triggered, like old school MMO, right, from like 20 years ago, where you could like see, oh, they're fighting the guy that I was sent here to fight. Like that's what this fucking reminded me of, where it's like Max already doing the stuff, and you guys show up, and you're like, oh, I guess that's
when
what
we get there,
that's what
it's
we're
gonna be
supposed to be
done.
doing
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
This got all kinds of fucked. Although I did like that it was Mac had skipped everything, and then Gottwald and the team triggered everything. It was like a trap in one side room, another side room had some kind of like bonus thing you could do by fighting ghosts. So I think we went back and forth between you fighting these ghosts and him fighting these ghosts. And then by the time, and so it was Mac who looted, and the Storm Maiden looted all the treasure here. And then in the middle, they were trying to escape, and then we had a big showdown that was very awkward because like people were trying to escape, and you guys were like, no, we're gonna fight these guys. And Mac was like, he couldn't decide when to pull the trigger on when he was going to
Or
attack.
if he was gonna pull the trigger.
I was woefully unprepared for all of this. It was absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And basically ended up with you guys defeating the Storm Maiden and the enemy pirates, and taking the treasure here, which is where you got I think new armor and a new the new giant slaying, I think, was where this came from.
Oh, okay, nice.
So you took out the first of the pirate lords, which was the Storm Maiden here, which this is all from the campaign, which is why I got the idea. It was the only pirate lord that's like at a different location. I was like, well, that's a cool idea. Let's have more pirate lords like out in the world doing things. And I like the idea that one was
Yeah.
just being sent here to just loot something from another dungeon. So that's why you end up here. So I love this whole scenario from Call from the Deep, and I ended up using all of it, but I had to provide my own map. And then you guys absolutely just, with Ray especially, tip of the hat, just completely fucked all my plans for this.
We'll do it live.
We'll do it live. All right, for the poll, where are we at? Total long rest. What's our guess?
What were the numbers again?
15, 17, 19, and 20.
I said 15.
17.
15.
I said 19.
The correct answer, total long rest of this campaign, was 17. Chat
17.
weirdly nailed this one. Wow.
I think you're just getting in your head now. You did the lowest one last time, so you couldn't have done the
man.
lowest one this time.
They're using
Dear.
statistics against you.
Yeah, that one's kind of crazy. The next one is going to be very challenging, I will admit.
Uh-huh.
And I'm only 90% sure I even know the stat. I'm not even 100% sure.
It's a multiple choice question, but the correct answer is the one that he's the most sure.
But it's like
of.
ish. It's ish. I
It's
think.
ish,
Can you clarify what you meant about putting that map on top of the old one? I can.
It's dynamic lighting, right?
It's a pre-made adventure. It didn't have a map. Well, I can show you what the original map looks like. Because I copied it. This is what the original map looked like. I'll get rid of the dynamic lighting. So yes, it has maps. But this is the maps that come with this campaign. They are the black and white. I don't know if it's exactly Dyson logos, but it's that kind of
They're-
style map where it's kind of the graph
drawn in
paper.
MS Paint.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, some people really like these style maps. I
Really?
abhor them, and as somebody who plays almost exclusively on virtual tabletops, they really don't work for me. And unfortunately, it's also the kind of map style you get with Ghosts of Saltmarsh as well. So one thing I really had to scramble with this campaign, which I will hopefully not have to do for my next campaign because I hated it, was fixing every single fucking map that you see. So what I mean about this one is I liked the design of this map. So what I did is I found you're gonna have to go back to the crafting stream. Basically, look for Iron Hand Cairn, whatever that session was, and go back to the crafting streams for that one. Because I basically through Roll20 assets, what I mean by that is various like marketplace stuff you can get. You can find like dungeon building art basically that comes with like these individual art pieces that you can construct dungeons with. And I would find those that were shaped similar to the dungeon and use those. And through a bunch of trickeration of layering and stuff, I was able to create this kind of half river, half thing. And you can see on this view, it looks like ass, as Chris pointed out. But from the player's view, when I turned on dynamic lighting, or I can just go to the lighting layer, I guess, they don't see any of that. They the dynamic lighting covers all that, and they just see the dungeon part of it. So the illusion worked out. But this was a unique situation. Normally, I just found a different map. In fact, we're going to get to that with the very next one, which was Narino, which was another one where they provided a underwater. In fact, I can show you the difference. This one is pretty stark. This is the new one, but I'll show you the old. This one I changed completely because of the map. So this was the original Narino, which Narino, I think we're only here for maybe a session or two. This is the one we found Sharky.
What was this?
Where Mac went down first and met the giant shark who was patrolling outside. This was the one where you found another pirate lord who was infiltrating an underwater dungeon, and the underwater dungeon happened to be ruled by a vampire, an underwater vampire. And the underwater vampire had like murdered all of his crew, and he was in the middle of fighting them when you guys came upon them. And there happened to be just a giant shark outside, which again, Mac was like, "I'm gonna befriend this giant shark." I was like, "Oh, I didn't necessarily see that coming." So this original map is more of a, I don't know, a two-level dungeon crawl thing. I couldn't find or have the patience to rebuild that map. So instead I used a map from Seafoot Games. They have a awesome Patreon that I use. Again, a lot of their maps from, if I can't find what I'm wanting on Roll20. And that's
so now you're basically, in this case, you're doing what I did on the high-level campaign. You're just like, here's a map that's good. I have a story bit that I can put on this. I have to make it work with this map.
To an extent, yeah. I mean, The parameter was like, all right, underwater dungeon, and I didn't want you guys to immediately get into the boss room at the beginning. I wanted to be able to have some like horror moments for you to find. So there were certain rooms in the way, but yeah, basically I kind of used a map and then built the dungeon around it. And I knew what the final area was going to be, which was one of the pirate lords was a Sahuagin Baron Thrall, which I loved. His thing was he wielded, with his 4 arms, he wielded 4 wands, one in each arm, and that made him really interesting command to could fire all the wands at once.
Nice.
So that was one of the other pirate lords. So this is the one where, yeah, Mac befriended. Mac and Toril alone went down. I remember they did like a reconnaissance. They went like halfway to the dungeon, found a bunch of bodies, investigated, saw that there were like puncture wounds on the neck. And they were like, all right, we need to go back and tell everybody else this. And then
get out of here.
I was getting worried. I was like, please don't fucking trigger this final sequence. As well, the rest of the party's like up there not knowing anything. And then you all went down properly into this dungeon, and it was kind of the only thing. There was one other sarcophagus thing with some ghosts and shit in there you could have done, but otherwise the main thing was just this one room, which had a bunch of vampire Sahuagin, I believe. And then the actual vampire shows up at the end of the fight, and very quickly, this is another situation where you guys immediately cut a deal. You're like, we don't want to fight this one. But you did your goal of killing the pirate lord here, which this is all level 9, I believe. You guys, yeah, level 9 stuff. So Iron Hand Cairn was 2 sessions, Narino was 2 sessions, and then the third pirate lord was a cool sequence that was also tricky for me, which I always had the third one to just attack you guys on the high seas. I was like, this is just gonna be a big old fucking ship battle. And that was, let's see, which one is that? Okay, I have one with an enemy ship. Okay, this is the one where I think I just had you guys as, oh shit, there's multiple ship tokens. Ha, okay. This one, I think you guys actually ended up liking this a lot. we first had it where you guys were on each other's ships. We had just tokens on the map like this, if you can see.
I remember this. You had us play like the naval game for a bit.
Yes. There was like maybe half a session or something. We were playing like this little naval mini combat game of like firing each other, like firing, I don't know, cannons and shits across from each other and turning your ship and I mean do all these different checks. I think Mac jumped on Sharky because you had the giant shark with you.
And he was like on the other ship for a while. I remember like he was in the lower levels. Yeah.
Yeah, which was this is the big ass right here. This is the big ass ship to ship fight. Once we zoomed into the actual combat part of it. Yeah, with the Naga ship captain. I like all the ship captain words like different, like it was like a storm giant or a frost giant and
they each have a thing.
Yeah, they each have a thing. The Sawagan and the Naga. That was pretty cool. Desecratus. With a bunch of Yuan-Ti as our crew, which again, this person's just chilling in the Tentrix boss layer. Like, so I was like, let's give her a whole ship, and that means I got to come up with a crew and try to balance this whole encounter and do all that. And this ended up being another giant 2-battle cinematic action sequence that lasted a long ass time. But I thought it was pretty fun, and ended with the ship going down to the juvenile Kraken showed up. This is where I had that thing show up again.
Oh,
to tear apart the enemy ship, because at the one time I was like, I could let them have this ship, but they also really like their ship and they've kind of got a whole thing with it. So we'll just have this Deus Ex Kraken baby show up and destroy the ship. I think I let you guys loot the ship really, really quickly while you were running out.
Is that just because you didn't want us to have 2 ships?
I think so. Logic? Yeah.
Okay.
He's like, they're allowed to have 1, not 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Not 2.
Felt a little much. And this represented the climactic battle of the Pirate Lords. It's difficult to classify this as a quest arc, but it kind of was. It was the Mintarn Tavern battle, Iron Hand Cairn with the Storm Maiden, Narino with Dirge, and then this ship battle with Desecratus. You ended up killing 3 of the 5 Pirate Lords in this sequence. Then we finally make it to level 10, and we make our way to Tentrix. To the Driftwood Docks specifically, which... fuck are the Driftwood Docks? What did I do with them?
We don't know.
Don't know. What about the poll? Where's the poll at? How many sessions had no combat? 2, 3, 4, 5 sessions. This is the one where I was... I didn't go back and watch every session, obviously... but I went through my recaps and my memory. And it's the best answer I could come up with. But if somebody in the chat is like, well, actually, blah, 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 then I may actually...
I feel like your recaps wouldn't mention fighting if there was fighting. Yeah.
There's one situation where it's a very gray area, and I think I ended up including this combat, where basically the only thing you did was destroy one of the Augmenter brains at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Which technically went into initiative very briefly to attack and did have a thing back. So I was like, that I will count that as combat, even though it was barely combat. But how many sessions do you all think we had with no combat whatsoever? Because it's pretty rare.
4.
5.
I'll say 5.
5.
The
3.
answer, the best ability that I could come up with was 4 times.
4 is okay.
And I wrote down sessions 5, sessions 8, session 32, and session 33.
We didn't have any after 33? After the ones we already mentioned? That's wild.
I know. Like I said, if there was that one moment where like you guys might have quickly fought a brain or something, I counted that as combat. Technically.
Right. Yeah.
So real quickly, session 5 was the session after the big ship battle where you guys got your ship. It was a whole bunch of follow-up on like who was on the crew and going back to Saltmarsh and just doing a bunch of maintenance stuff that was no combat involved.
Yeah.
Session 8 was arriving in Gunbar, doing a bunch of shopping, upgrading of the ship, talking to the king, traveling to Fiskbark, and then we ended, I think, right when we would start the combat with the Harpies. So no comment on that one. And then 32 and 33, I think I mentioned that during the recap, was the first 2 sessions of the Styes. There was no combat at all. You guys were doing a lot of investigation stuff, talking to folks. You might have like fired off spells to like scare people away or something, but I didn't count that as... Basically, initiative is the big thing for me. If we roll initiative, then that counts as combat. But so that was it. So if somebody can mention other sessions specifically didn't have combat, then maybe. But again, to the best of my ability, after going through everything, I found 4 specific sessions where we did not have combat, which I thought was kind of an interesting stat. The one thing I wanted to track that I didn't have time to track, and I thought was going to be tricky, was how many sessions ended in the middle of combat, because there were a startling amount in this campaign, but that was harder for me to go back and figure out from the recaps. So ultimately, I don't have that stat, so I apologize.
You need to try harder next time.
Tom Cardos or Cian Puku maps at all. Tom Cardos, I might have used one of his maps at some point, I think. But mostly I try to stick to using Roll20 maps if I can, honestly, because that's the easiest thing for me. And then Seafoot Games just happens to be like the main like map making patron that I support, so I use their maps. And then shout out to Bear, who provided me with a ton of amazing. So I only had to use those maps for Call from the Deep stuff. For all the Ghosts of Saltmarsh stuff, Bear hooked me up with all of his amazing map art, which was a huge relief on that one. One fun trivia question that I won't do as a poll, but you all can just we can go over. Demnix just reached out to me, and he had counted how many pieces of fan art he did per player character.
Oh, per player character.
So who is your guess of the player character who received the most representation in his prolific and amazing fan art?
Oh God, it's got to be Gottwald or Toril.
Gottwald.
I think it's Gottwald. He liked drawing me. I remember he drew me in bikinis. He drew me with shark's head. He drew me. With,
it was a lot.
There's a lot of Toril stuff out there too.
Yeah,
there's a lot of Mac stuff too.
I'll give a chance for chat to digest that one as well. Let's see the Tentrix sequel. Oh yeah, I was trying to find the docs. Where did I have the new? Legit don't know where the. Okay, well this is the old Driftwood docs map. I don't know where the fucking new one is. Just ended up somewhere else. Pirate Lords. Because somebody else gave me. Was it Refus? Gave me the new Driftwood Docks map.
Mm.
And it's really good. Why could I not find it in here? Did I archive it? Okay, maybe it got archived. Let's go back to. There it is. Okay, so that's the old one. This is the new one. So we'll turn off dynamic lighting. So if you recall, you all had to make it through on your ship through this gauntlet of islands, where the enemy had fortified these islands with like mounted ballistas, and you all had to thread your ship through this area. This is where Savra's Shatter spell became MVP real quick, because she could just destroy entire ballista fortifications. And at one point, you all like jumped off the islands and had to like fight a bunch of people, hand-to-hand combat, and knock people off. At one point, Matt kept getting knocked off, I think twice in this battle. Ended up falling down. And there was a frost giant pirate lore that was guarding this area. He was the 4th one. And if you recall what you did to him, which
I turned him into a chicken.
Yep. My big pirate lord boss fight got turned into a chicken, and he didn't show up until after you guys had made it pretty far through here, and then he showed up trying to fight you guys on the ship, but then he was chickened. And ultimately, there was a very long sequence of trying to figure out what to do with this chicken, and ultimately, you just kind of sent him on a plank and sent him off to sea. There was like a lot of moral like questions about what to do with a polymorphed captured enemy.
I think this was another one of those times when Chris wasn't here.
I was not here for the
moral
chicken.
compass.
Ah, yes, that's right. You weren't here for the start of the fucking insane Tentrix Layer battle, which this one was a challenge, because this was another situation. Okay, I'll show you the original map for this one. The original map. Oh, by the way, the person who got the most art by Demnix was actually a tie between Gottwald and Mac.
Really?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
But then Toril and Savra tied for 2nd.
Oh! Denmark's doing a good job of like keeping
Yeah,
representation across the board. I
Very
like
much so. Yeah, for sure. This was the original map, which was this like a bunch of ships lashed together, pointing diagonally across from each other, and like each ship was like a different like. In fact, you can see the guys I used later. The Sawagan Baron and the Storm Maiden and all those guys.
Yeah.
Just all in their own corners. I was like, this map doesn't work. I don't like it. So I used another Seafoot Games map because it was an amazing one, which was literally like a bunch of pirate ships like lashed together. The only problem with this map, if you all might recall, is that it's 3 different levels. And that got a little confusing for both the DM and the players, where I had, some of you were on one layer and others went upstairs and went to another, which is a whole other map you had to go to.
Yeah.
So that got a little bit tricky. But this one was designed as a full dungeon crawl. It was up to you guys on how to approach it. You guys at the very earliest, we're going to start with the like kind of duplicitous start, I guess, where it's like, all right, well, we're captured enemies. But quickly that did not work and boiled over into a fight. And once the fight started, basically at the entrance, it never stopped. This is level 10. This fight started in session 47, and it ended on session 50. 4 sessions of the same fight, basically, is crazy. That is got to be a record for us.
Yeah.
It was absolute mad. Like, you aggroed the entire dungeon, and I had to
Yes,
very carefully
repeatedly.
run things, to where you weren't aggroing things all at once. But there was stuff like there was a whole like this artificer enemy with like this custom crossbow creature thing. Like, we didn't do any of that because I was like, we're just not including any of that because that's getting too crazy. As where Savra used the wand of wonder to summon an elephant who would trample her. This is where I had your ship, the death of the sea ghosts, or what was the ship's name again?
Noah's Ark to Zoo Cruise. There can only be one lightning bolt sound strike.
Thank you.
Probably the last time that'll ever be played.
We have to retire that soundbite.
Yep.
I had the Deus Ex ship come in when you guys were in dire straits and just ram
That's
into
right.
the whole place, kill a whole bunch of guys. But they were also in trouble. Like, you literally were like having all the enemies following them. This was pretty much the death of all your crew as well.
Except for Borges.
Except for Borges. Borges survived. Borges always survives. Yeah, and you guys slowly fought your way. You had to fight the Slod guy again. There's a second level to this dungeon. I mean, it's absolutely insane that this fight, this was not designed to be one big combat encounter, but ended up being one big combat encounter. Here you can see the level 2 where we ended up fighting the rest of it. This is where we had Mac disappear for a session. We had him just fighting the like creepy, like skull-faced boatman, basically taking him out of the fight. I'm literally losing my voice. I'm talking so much. But you finally fought Tentrix here, and you killed you killed the Slod, which is the 5th and final pirate lord. Actually, I think he escaped, didn't he? Did he escape?
Slod?
I think he escaped.
I think he escaped.
I forgot about that. He escaped.
He's still out there.
He was like the Starscream of the bunch. He never really liked his boss and was willing to cut and run. So he's still out there.
Yeah.
I'll include that in Gottwald's epilogue, maybe.
Right.
But you did defeat Tentrix, and Gottwald went down, I believe, to a lightning bolt from Savra during this fight.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, that was the big epic climax to destroying Tentrix, and then you learned from Tentrix when he died. You basically got the location of where it all came from, which was the Purple Rocks location, which is where the final sequence takes place. You saved the Merid, which was one of the other I mentioned very early on.
Oh, that was great too. Yeah, the whole like he was trying to help us, but he couldn't.
Oh, the little genie thingy?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like him being like the genie being controlled by Jafar, where he's like, if he can't do it, great. Like, he didn't like being controlled, and that was a he was like, I'm sorry, orders are orders.
I have to attack you.
Yeah, but if you can save me, then I'll help you guys out. And the goal was, because I had killed y'all's ship, the bad guys are closing in, like, you don't have a whole lot of options. And the goal was for the Merit had teleportation magic. The one thing I did skip, I had this whole planned event, and it's from the Call for the Deep book, where the Merit has a whole quest line where he can give you a powerful flying ship, but you have to go into the elemental plane of water. You end up going to this really fun like tavern that's got like a whale for a bartender and just absolute bananas stuff going on. But ultimately I cut all that in the just for time purposes, I guess. And I was like, you know what, the Merit himself can just teleport you there. He didn't have to go through all these because we're not, once you have the airship, it's like you're just going to the final place anyway. We don't really need to.
Yeah.
This isn't a Final Fantasy where suddenly the world opens up and you can go around in your airship. And then I gotta crash another airship. I don't want to have to do that. So we'll just have the Merid teleport.
Really do it because you didn't know what the fuck we would do with the damn airship.
Yeah,
You're like,
that's too much power.
I'm not prepared.
We can't give them that much power. Yep. So then we finally begin the final sequence. What map was this, or chapter, I suppose? We're in the, I guess this is kind of the final chapter. I actually haven't been opening the journal up yet. I've been using my own notes. This would be the chapter 4, Pirate Kings and Kraken Priests, which includes the whole Pirate Lord section I did, and then also the Tentrix layer. That's right. Chapter 4 of Chapter Call of Duty also includes Purple Rocks. That's weird. I treat it as a different quest arc, which was you arriving at the Purple Rocks location. Kish and Harley leave. You Sambalay. You rescued Sambalay from this area as well. I got to reuse Sambalay. He was a prisoner. You got to free. So he rejoins the crew. And you arrive in Purple Rocks, which is like the Kraken Society headquarters. I didn't have really any maps for this, so I pulled out just a random barracks map. You met like the one Deep Lord guy. There's a whole big sequence where it's kind of like, I don't know, Eldritch Horror stuff going on here, but I kind of glossed over a lot of that event-wise and just kept it pretty simple. You guys were attacked. You guys tried to long rest here, and you were attacked by a bunch of creepy monsters at night, which is like the first and only time I ever ambushed you guys at night, basically. Right. And then afterwards, you went to, you're level 11 now, the Temple of Tentacles, where your nice guy is suddenly being sacrificed by his brethren, and he had warned you that, things were getting weird, and you guys had to have this big showdown, and it turns out that guy was a Mind Flayer in disguise, one of the other named Mind Flayers, and I think this one was supposed to be the same one from Bronzo Mine.
Really?
He had got called away to do this, yeah. Wielding the Staff of the Magi, which he never got to use because Mac's first move was to run up and disarm him, you motherfucker, and immediately steal the staff. It was a good move. Fun fact, you all could have dropped down this hole in the middle of the temple and basically gone right to the Kraken. I'm glad you didn't do that, but that was available.
It's the Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
You can go in there anytime
you see
want.
the final thing down there. You can go do it if you want. It's just not going to be easy.
Yeah.
You stopped by and had to do a fun little random. I think this might have been the Tom Cardos map I used. This was the dudes chuck yeeting babies off a cliff. You got to you got to save all the babies.
That's right.
And
we had to do a lot of moral questioning about how many babies are these good looking babies?
Are these normal babies or like creepy babies? Yeah, ended up killing everybody here, which not everybody was a villain, but it's you guys are not known for your finesse.
We didn't know that.
And I guess you did. So we assume they're guilty. And this is where you bid farewell to Sambalay. You basically gave him, I think, one of maybe the surviving babies, and he went off to star in his own sitcom.
I forgot about that.
With Sambalay and the other high priest guy, I believe, they were starting a family together, probably.
With that baby.
Then that led you to the entrance to Ascara, which was this mini dungeon, which had a bunch of dudes in. This was from Call from the Deep, and I found somebody who actually I think was from the Call from the Deep Discord channel, where somebody had made a map that was like the exact art. I was like, good enough. Which had a bunch of creatures and vats, and again, I love doing the whole biological mutation experimentation thing with the Mind Flayers. I thought that was a really fun angle to use. This was a pretty creepy scenario where you all ended up splitting up, fighting one of the mutants, fighting a brain golem as kind of a mini boss. You got the severed brain head that kind of told you more about what's going on with the Mind Flayers, as well as the location of the Augmenter brains for the final area of Ascarl, which was a giant ass area, which you can see is, once I turn off dynamic lighting, you can see how just hilariously big this map was. We only used sections of this map, so we began this area in the left side right here near Bill Hader.
We spent most of the time with Bill Hader on the left side.
Yeah, follow the Bill Haders. You can follow the path. Yeah, you started on this left side of the map where you went basically from south to north. You met a bunch of creepy cultists and ropers and chuls and fought your way to the first augmenter brain. And then this is where Gottwald lost his Javelin of Lightning, where I put a bunch of patrols on you and you had to flee to the north. But you can see this map is gigantic. I was having to like funnel you guys to certain sections. There's a whole lower left section of a temple that I cut completely because like I'm not using any of this. And then I also cut the entire central dome.
The big purple thing in the middle?
It is empty. Like the whole area, that whole circle thing, all of this, I cut all of that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I didn't use any of that. Because we had so much going on here. Like by the time when we started this area, I was still like debating on how to handle this. It's so big. Like, what do we do? Once you go north, this goes into the other 2 maps. This area is like 3 maps altogether, which is this one. Which this was the big undersea catacombs.
I remember this one, the temple.
Yeah, this is kind of the big underwater dungeon area where you had to fight the ghost who could possess statues. Which was kind of a fun sequence. This
is where I died of that harpy or that scream in a box or whatever.
Yep, the scream in a box over here. So after you defeated the ghost statue, notice how there's 2 paths you guys could have taken to go to the east side to get to the other augmenter brain. You could have gone along the north path, which you did, which was the abyss thing, or you could have gone on the south path, which you didn't because Mac opened that door to the water elementals and said nope and closed it.
Yeah.
But you could have gone that way. You could have fought your way through the water elementals, and then the hallway right here was trapped.
Okay.
But you would have avoided all the ghost stuff and the abyss stuff down there. By the way, if you had actually reached out and touched any of these, if you recall, the light dolphins in this one room, you have to make a save or turn into a dolphin. I was really hoping somebody would try to touch one of the dolphins, but nobody ever did.
And turn into a dolphin.
Get polymorphed into a dolphin, yep. This one had the amazing trap that Gottwald brute forced and got hit by like several things at once. In the pit up here. They were like is a pit with statuettes
or whatever.
Yeah, and I had whole complicated things set up, and you're like, I'm just gonna go down there and pick them all up and swim up there, and I'm like, okay, that's gonna trigger all the bad things. And then Salvar's like, all right, now do this, and you're like, all right, hold on, I'm gonna get attacked by everything here.
Yep.
But you're rewarded by a ton of treasure, and then this is one where Twirl literally opened another room and said, oh, here's the solution to the puzzle. We just had to search in this other room. Yep, so you took the north path. I teased that there was an enemy here that kind of knew where you guys were. You opened a bunch of ghost stuff. You had to fight patrols of Sawagan. You met the undead warlock lady who attacked you here and then disappeared and then attacked you again once you made it down here and then disappeared again and then later attacked you after you met Vestris. So I thought that was an interesting way of reusing. But yeah, there's a large chunks of this map we did not use, which I kind of assumed you guys, once I knew which path you guys were taking, I could kind of suss out which way you were going.
Yeah.
The one where you met Vestris was the one that was kind of a gray area in whether there was no combat or not. This whole section really had no combat except the augmenter brain technically you rolled initiative on. This one had the nasty trap where you guys were getting flung backwards. There was a whole side room with like rugs that could poison your mind. I didn't use any of that. It was weird.
Hallway full of rugs. Yeah,
I know. Rugs. I was like, did the designer forget this is all underwater? Like, what is going on here with all the rugs? I don't understand.
Yeah.
And I love the twist where like you see this crazy undead lich, and it turns out she's an ally, and she offers you a long rest, and then she's your ally, and then you come out and you have to fight the Deathlock Mastermind again, and there's a whole illusion thing going on, and there's a underwater beholder you have to fight. That was all fun stuff. Then we go back to the main room. And this time we go to the lower right corner. And this is where we did, you guys are probably remembering these things a lot better because this was not too long ago.
Right.
With the Illithid layer, with the mechanical stuff, the pipes that could do mutated things. You found Kazan in one of the prison cells. You had to fight Luzregal, which was the third of the named Mind Flayer lieutenants who was in the suit that Sabra would eventually grab. I think you actually saw most of this area. Explored most of this dungeon. And then it was after this sequence where I'm like, all right, we don't need to do any more dungeon crawling. We've done a lot. We've taken down all 4 augmenter brains, which I did like that aspect of like, here's a mega dungeon, but you've got specific goals and specific like quest points in these areas. So I'm going to skip this entire main area here because we don't need it. We're just going to go right to the big ruins fight, which this was the fight we had. You can see the big war with the Kraken and everything. I shrank this dungeon here, or this map. Here's what the original looks like. Look at the size difference.
Oh, you're Trump dynamic lighting.
Yeah. Well, there shouldn't be much on this map, but yeah, I can.
I see a black screen right now. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
because your
Jesus.
tokens aren't here. Yeah. It's like 4 times as big.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Because
So you were gonna do this initially because you got all the tokens.
well,
on
this is
there.
yes, this is how it was initially. If you notice, there's stairs and holes on this map, and if you recall, in the other maps there were holes in the ceiling or stairs going up. In fact, in the other Wonder Dungeon, remember you saw several times there were stairs going up. Well, all those lead to this map. So it's a very weird, stressful thing as a DM to have all these different entrances to the boss, basically.
that we could go up at any time.
You
if
could
we
go up at
wanted
any
to.
time.
Which is
Yeah.
very funny because that implies that like this war between the Tritons and
It's like just waiting to be triggered.
It's like paused.
Yeah.
It's just waiting.
It's real
for us
video
to
game
walk up.
logic, yeah.
Yeah.
So I just had you go through. But I was like, I don't need all that. We're not doing that. We're just doing the arena boss fight.
Sure.
So I shrank
Yeah.
all that into this map, and just had it be like,
And
all
you
right,
just,
well, let's,
if I correct me if I'm wrong, but you just theater the minded us going up to him, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
there was
we
no
didn't-
like
right.
yeah.
Well, there actually was one of the holes near you guys, but yeah, I just had you guys
there was? Okay.
go right up there. So I turned the map around, had you go through one of the nearest hole, and then you had the big fight with everything on here was the big Kraken battle. And then we went from there to the astral plane, which I found. I forgot where this map is from. You have to go to the crafting stream to figure out where I got the astral sea map. I do not recall. It is from Roll20 though. I know that much. I think it's literally if you search astral sea, I think it comes up on Roll20 somewhere. But that was the finale, and that was so Ascarl was level 11, which was Purple Rocks plus Ascarl. Which that was the only tricky thing is I didn't have a good time to level you guys up. While you guys were level 11. So you guys were level 11 for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 sessions, which was too many.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
there was no good time to level you guys up in the middle of that entire Purple Rocks Plus. The only time I could have done it was after I think 4 sessions. I could have done it 4 sessions in, but then you would have been a little bit over. I don't know. So I made that decision.
Yeah.
But then you guys were level 12 for like the second half of Escarl. And at least you guys could be level 12 for a long time and do all that stuff.
Okay, yeah.
And then we had the astral fight here. I forgot. I think I had one more. Oh yeah. Okay. One more trivia question. Sorry, I meant to do this earlier. I thought this was a fun question, which again, I think I'm correct on this one. What should I call this? Maybe the RWCU? All right, so this could be a very interesting question for some of you to figure out. But I mentioned before, I thought it was really cool that I could use some of our previous D&D characters in this campaign. Because a lot of my campaigns tend to be in very exotic locations that it would be very weird why you'd have somebody else show up in. This is not one of them. This took place in the primary area of like the Sword Coast that a lot of people would be at. So it was a cool excuse to use a lot of characters from the, let's call it the Rogue Watson cinematic universe. So the trivia question is, how many of those cameos, basically previous, but I guess I should have clarified, by cameo I mean a previous player character in our games, appeared in this campaign? And I will specifically say appeared in this campaign.
You mentioned some others.
Right. So
Yeah,
2,
there are others
3,
that are
4, or
mentioned, but-
5. Yeah.
There's at least 2 that I know did show up.
Oh, I need to change
God.
my answer. I picked the wrong one. Damn it.
Undo.
It doesn't let you undo.
And I may be wrong about this. Hopefully I'm not, but I think I recall them correctly, but it's possible I'm mistaken. How many of our previous player characters was I able to include in this campaign? That they showed up in this campaign specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, we will get to the.
I can't remember them, but I think I've got a good number. Well, no, I don't know.
Okay, well, what are your guesses? I feel like once we start explaining them, you guys will come up with your answers pretty quick. But...
I think there's 3, but I can't remember when the other 2 might have been.
Okay.
I know there
But-
were 3.
Yeah.
There was Rochelle's character,
Yeah.
Kazan, and then
Okay,
your
I forgot
old,
about Cass. Yeah,
and
that's
then
the
your
one I was
old
thinking
character.
of. And then Kalinar. Yeah, those are the 3 I was thinking of. Yeah.
You guys forgot about Ballista.
Blista's not a player
A
character,
player character,
but I do
it is a
appreciate
recurring
that.
character.
I do appreciate that one. Yeah.
Blista and Borges need to hang out.
We need to include that in the that was a fun case of being able to reuse a previous NPC for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
A favorite. Which now I feel like I have to do Borges for the next one just because that's like the other memorable one that got used.
We need to ship them, make them a thing.
The world's ugliest children. My God.
Or the strongest.
Or
in
the
the
strongest.
world.
Or yeah, well, the
Unbeatable.
most plot armory resilient for sure.
Yep.
Chat is guessing 3. You all guessed 3, and 3 is the answer that I came up with as well. Exactly as you said. Kalinar
Yeah.
during the siege of Neverwinter, Kazan as a prisoner of the Mind Flayers, and Gillian as the commander during the Kraken battle. I will say, as bonuses, 2 other player characters were specifically mentioned but did not show up. Which 2 characters were those?
Miri and
Edmund. With his blint.
yeah.
Miri and Edmund.
Edmund. Yeah.
Yeah, Edmund's
So,
Edmund's
Did you somehow
genocidal
get
blend.
away with not mentioning Mac's brother the entire campaign?
Yeah, I think
just
so.
realized. Yeah.
I think we made it through the entire thing. Yeah, I didn't have a good way of doing it.
It's when there was Splinter was there at some point, right? Or no, I'm thinking of a different
This one?
campaign.
Uh,
That was in
I
this
thought Mac
campaign.
got a letter. No, I thought Mac
No,
got
I think-
a letter at the beginning of this campaign from his brother.
yeah,
Yeah, but that was my. I don't know if I would count that either.
that's
was
kind of
just
a gray
a
area
character.
one. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
yeah. I should have had.
Was Splinter in this campaign or was it the last campaign? I'm getting mixed up.
I don't remember either.
It was this one
I think
because
was a
Splinter.
rat.
I think Splinter was one of the captured people from the Swagan stronghold.
Oh, that's
Right.
okay.
Yeah,
and
but Splinter
he
was
train
never a
Borges,
George
or-
thing, right? Or was he?
I don't think so.
I think we made that up for this
No.
campaign.
Yeah, I think
Right.
it was this campaign. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not crazy.
maybe,
I
so
was
maybe
like-
I did mention George. I mentioned George.
Just in conversation, we must have mentioned, like, if the rat and Mac were talking, they must have mentioned him
Yeah,
at least
yeah.
once.
So that might have been a third mention, I think. Okay, I made a token. That's always that's good. Tokens were made.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, that's the campaign. That's all my trivia questions that I have for all of you. So now I want to go over our epilogues from each of you, as well as give me all the fun favorites and least favorite things that I told you. You've had a full 2 hours to process all this information. So let's go with Reese first, since he became kind of the star at the very end of the campaign with Slarkerthel. So what is Toral's epilogue here? And as a hurling of the ball to you, I did mention that last session you were able to ask a boon of the Kraken. You basically answered, "I just want to serve you, to the best of my abilities, and this will be faithful." And he basically interpreted that as, "All right, I'm going to make you my new." I think they called him the Deep Lord or something. Basically, the head of the Kraken Society. Like, you're going to be the new boss. Is what he told you. So based on that, you can do your epilogue.
Yeah, Torl is just going to be setting up as many churches as he can in the area and surrounding areas. Just making
Expansionist. Going for the religion victory, I see.
That's right.
Kraken
Just-
colonialism.
Building up money, building up influence, little by little,
Okay, get into the
Until
politics.
until he has
of
a whole
religion.
big section.
Massive
Yeah.
tax breaks for churches, man.
Yeah.
That's right. And he'll declare Liberation Day and punish all the non-believers.
It's Liberation Day. A tariff on everybody else.
And believers.
Believers alike. Fuck everybody. Yep.
Especially the penguins.
That's right.
Then
Okay.
he will eventually try to find his old colleagues and hunt them. Find them one by one and see how they're doing.
Still share the light. As a slight follow-up before you get to the other things, because there are NPCs relevant to this, I would say that Vestris is probably something of a coworker for you. She basically maintains being a regent of the Ascarl area. She's not really a true believer in terms of the Kraken Society, but she's powerful enough and does her work well that the Kraken just kind of leaves her to do her thing. You could have different thoughts about that, but she otherwise treats you with a mutual respect, even though you know she's not necessarily a true believer in the whole Kraken Society thing. And then Sambalay, it might be up to you because you'd be his boss now because he basically stays in Purple Rocks. I wrote that he would kind of fall back into his smuggling ways, but he would do it for you.
Better.
He basically use his skills as a smuggler to like work for the church and get you like whatever goods and things that you need. And you're not quite sure if he's ever a true believer either, but like his services are top notch.
He is, an imperfect servant, but we'll take him.
Yeah. One interesting follow-up also is that the aboleth that used to be your quest giver, you haven't talked to him for a while, is Xaro. Slarkrathel has a lot of questions about that, and he would definitely want to send people out to destroy this aboleth. Because he's like, if this motherfucker knows this much to like send you all after me, then he needs to go. So
no.
Yeah, so that's something that the Kraken basically tells you down the chain is like, hey, you don't have to do it personally, but we as a group need to take this guy. Yeah, he's not interested in taking over Neverwinter or anything, but he's like, we need to destroy the aboleth and like install our own like agents in Neverwinter. And
for sure,
and you're
there
into
definitely needs to be a purity.
Exactly, you're into the expansion of the religion. So, Reese, what was your favorite story arc or quest line of this campaign?
My favorite part, I think they go together, is just doing the mimicry section. That was a ton of fun.
I'll include that as a favorite
Sambalay.
moment. Would you include that whole the whole Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh as your favorite story arc as well?
What do
Yeah,
you mean by story arc? I guess I'm
So basically, if you think about it like by levels, so like, Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh was one story arc. Salvage Operation was another one. The whole island Gunderlin was one story arc. The Siege of Neverwinter was a story arc. The Pirate Skyhold was a story arc. Sawagan Stronghold, the Styes, the Pirate Lords, Sea King Tentrix, and then I guess we can include all of Purple Rocks and Ascarl, although that's like 20 sessions, but that's kind of all one story arc as well. That's kind of what I would consider all the story arcs.
yeah, I'd say the Siege of Neverwinter was pretty good too. I like that one a lot.
Do you have a
fights?
No, that's good. Yeah. Do you have a least favorite one that just felt like a slog or that just didn't quite interest you as much? Because I do appreciate this feedback in front of everyone.
I mean, honestly, it just depends on what's going on that week and how tired I am.
That's fair. That's fair. So not so much one that wasn't spoke to you for the content, but just outside forces. What about a favorite NPC? And I'm looking for somebody besides Borges, but I would let you just say Borges. You want to say Borges?
I mean, Sambalay.
Okay.
I like that guy a lot.
I like
Borges was a great punching bag, though.
Which was not my intention when I had Borges was a joke of an NPC who I thought was just going to be killed and it would be funny. But that's what I love about D&D is it just became the ballista.
I felt like the ballista was the exact same thing.
But ballista was never a combatant.
No, that's true.
Ballista was like your driver, like your taxi driver,
and our cook at
and
one point.
cook, yeah. Like Borges was in there in the fields, putting in the hours and putting in the work. I can't believe his ass survived. Do you have a favorite magic item, Mr. Reese?
Probably the tentacle arms.
Yeah, I was thinking.
That's great.
You really liked that. So that's literally a magic item called like Tentacle Rod. But of course, because I love doing the body stuff to you.
I love it when you do the body stuff to me.
I know you do. So this was the first. So of course I had to turn your actual fucking arm into the tentacle rod thing. But you lose it all, which that's something the DM loves is when a player character uses their magic item so much so I'm like, this is a perfect marriage. All right, and then perfect moment was the mimic. I did like that one too. The mimicry at the Sea Ghost.
I
Oh,
love that Charles never used mimicry, the ability again.
just at one time.
Just
It
that
was
one
amazing, and then never again.
That's it. I'm done.
That was it. Stop.
I need a script.
Yeah.
All right, Savra. What is Savra's epilogue for this campaign?
Well, after leaving the group there, she returns to her dragon overlord. And
Who I totally forgot the name of. I don't. Somebody in chat maybe can help me remember.
Necro Dragon.
Yeah.
yes,
It's a black dragon.
Like
Black-
black something? Blackburn? I don't know.
Blackbird.
yeah.
Blackburn.
Good old Blackie.
And ends up becoming the youngest lich on Faerun.
The youngest lich.
See?
Okay.
She achieves
Featured
her
on the
lich
Forbes
dreams.
fight of 500 the next year.
the 30 under 30 of liches. Why did you go lich so young? You could. Nah, I'm
Having
going lich.
controlled so many zombies at one time, it
Yeah.
was just like it just like happened. And she's
That
like,
that
"All
puts
right,
you
so
at
that's-
least on the front of Necromancer magazine. I would think for.
Yeah.
I mean that's going
Well, yeah.
around. I mean the
I'm-
Tritons are going to tell that story in a completely different light. by
That's
the way.
true. You're gonna become known as like the Triton Bane or something like that.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna become
Gillian's still not happy about this,
legend.
even though it ended up being used for good purposes. I imagine a lot of folks have not the best.
Yeah, especially on account that the little zombie horde got kind of destroyed in the last fight. So
Definitely, they're floating
a
around the
lot of
astral
the-
plane as zombies. Yeah.
yeah, so they didn't get to bury their dead, so
Yeah.
or do whatever with their dead. So yeah,
You can just go to Gillian and tell her, like, hey, all your bodies are in the astral plane. It's a great place for them to be.
They're well
It's all good.
preserved.
They're well preserved.
yeah, that's basically what she would have done. She would have like, yeah, they got the burial in the astral plane. They're fine.
Well, let's see.
So do you literally stay with the Black Dragon and just work with him in his base near Neverwinter? Or do you go off and set up your own base of operations? How does the lich?
Oh no, I stay with the dragon.
Okay.
The dragon, because the dragon, my little thing that keeps me as a lich is part of his little dragon horde. So I know it's always protected.
Okay.
I can't ever die, so I'm good.
Okay.
So
I this could be an interesting partnership here, and maybe one day you guys take over Neverwinter and rule.
I do feel like Savra, out of
Kraken
all the
Society
characters, fight them.
Have a say about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of
we will-
all of
we
our
will force
characters,
them to
we
join your
have
church.
the two most likely or character players to encounter later as villains. In this
Literal
campaign.
villains. Yeah. Literally at the head of the
Yeah.
evil church, and I've become a lich.
Yeah,
for sure.
no, I mean, conquering Neverwinter would be part of the plot for the future. You
Next
know,
up
gotta
on...
gotta keep ourselves entertained for a while.
We defeated the villains,
So-
but at what cost? We have become the villains ourselves. What was your favorite story arc or quest line, Heather?
I mean, I enjoyed my dragon overlord friend.
I like the
And getting
the
to be-
pirate skyhold thing with the airship and the
Mm-hmm.
swamp village and meeting all those guys.
Yeah, and then forcing that king dude to give us extra money for taking care of his problem.
Yep.
So,
Do you have a least favorite story or quest arc area?
I wouldn't say like one specific spot, but like those dungeons, like what you were talking about earlier, the dungeons that lasted like 5 or 6 or 7 sessions that just went on like a session or a session and a half too long.
Yeah.
That could have done with editing. Just like,
Yeah.
all right, you know what? All right, we're done now. Type of
Yeah.
a situation. Where there was you could like with you talking about it in hindsight with 2020 and all that mess, you like I did do some editing, but it could have been maybe a little bit more editing to keep it moving forward and not feel like such a slog at times.
Yeah, and I
But
like
they
my
know that-
I like my dungeons, but especially I think the Sawagan Stronghold was probably the biggest offender. Where I really wanted to. That's where I had the chase sequence at the end, and then the Mega Dungeon of Escarl was also tricky because I did want you guys to do those 4 augmenter brains and try to cut some of that. And I mentioned I cut that whole like middle area, but yeah, it gets to, when it's back to back to back, especially in the same area, it does get to be a lot. I'll just put 2 long dungeons. Favorite NPC. You want to just go with the dragon, or do you have?
The dragon's pretty good choice.
Yeah. I mean,
you guys cut deals with a lot of shady creatures in this campaign for the most part.
yeah. And I mean, I cut the deal with the dragon and really didn't tell the rest of that party about that shit. So
Yeah. In fact, I think wasn't there a running joke that you cut a deal with, or maybe it was the Aboleth, and like Mac had no idea, and you literally
Mac
kept
never
it
knew.
from him.
We never told
Mac never knew about the apple.
Yeah. I think he was gone for that session, and then afterwards you like just never told him about it.
Mhm.
Yeah. We had plenty of opportunities, but we just explicitly
The
went like,
opportunities were there, but yeah.
let's just not tell Mac.
Yeah. As well as like we haven't told him by this point. We're just not gonna tell him.
But
Yeah, no, probably the dragon and the shady deals I made with the dragon.
All right, somebody help me. I can't remember his fucking name. I literally don't remember that. I'd have to go back to. I could go back to the session and pull up the recap post. That'd be the way I do it. Favorite magic item for the wizard.
Oh,
You used a couple, yeah.
Mhm.
yeah.
I mean, the staff was good, but technically didn't get it till pretty late in the campaign. It's a it's a legendary level item.
Yeah, I mean the Wand of Wonder had some good moments
Yeah.
with putting grass in the astral plane.
I was
so-
annoyed. I felt for you on your behalf. I feel like the wand.
I'm telling you, it was your damn table.
Yeah, it did not work for you the way it should have.
No.
Although I loved you summoning the elephant in that one sequence.
That was amazing.
Yeah, no,
during
that
the
was
already
hilarious.
battle sequence that lasted like 4 sessions.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
You also had like the force
Um,
cube used for a while. You had the climbing slippers they used for a lot.
Yeah,
You had a couple very useful
I
items.
had some pretty good ones.
But if you had to pick
I'd
one,
probably say the most useful was the slippers of spider climbing.
yeah. Okay.
But if you were like the one that caused the greatest anticipation award was like that damn Wand of Wonder.
Yeah.
Was it going to be an elephant or was it going to be grass?
Or
Nobody
grass.
knew.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that was your table, man.
You had like a 4% chance of getting like grass or butterflies or
Grass.
something, and you would be there to your favorite single moment of the campaign.
Becoming a lich. Like why?
The epilogue.
The epilogue.
Where I finally get what I wanted, like the whole time. No longer have to like tell people like what to do anymore.
All right, if you had to pick a
Great.
moment that happened during the campaign, what would you pick?
The moment right before I became a lich.
Or I mean, you could say like
when
you
I
know,
realized I was going to become a
yeah, meeting the black dragon, or what do you ever say? Like cutting the deal with the king for more money.
Oh yeah, like freaking him out. That was fun. No, yeah, probably the dragon. All my stuff revolves around this damn dragon that nobody can remember his name.
Like the
on.
dragon, so memorable, but we couldn't remember the name. Mr.
You're the DM. You created it, not me.
I know, and I can't even. If I could spend 2 seconds and dig this up. No, I can't.
That'd be
It's
the
in
recap, right?
It is in the recap, but if I can pull it up from, let's see, what is the area called? It's not Woman's Isle. Yeah, you guys probably find it in the recap faster than I can find it in Roll20.
It's gonna go to your website and search Black Dragon.
I don't remember what it's called in. Let's see, what session was that? All right, who's gonna find it first, chat? Is it us or you? All right, it was in session 22. Session 22. Who's gonna find it first?
Garandar the Vile.
Oh, you got it, Garandar the Vile. You win. The dude's name that we were so memorable about. All right, Raymond, what is Mac's epilogue?
2 things that are
Yep.
related. First, he goes back to the what? No. Shit, what's it called again? The North Watch.
Neverwinter
City
Watch, I
Watch?
think. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Neverwinter Watch, and he realizes how small this wall is compared to the world out there. After just going all across. And then secondly, he, after realizing that drakes can talk and have a language,
You can talk.
you can talk? He decides to venture out to raise awareness to all the people that drakes have language, they have feelings, that we can't just summon them willy-nilly and let them die and just summon them again.
You're like the hacker who goes on to like give speeches about anti-hacking. And...
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Treat drakes fair.
Don't do what I've done.
Fair.
Okay.
Give fair wages.
So you become
So, yeah.
a Drake rights
Becomes a Drake advocate.
activist.
Yep.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Advocate,
Drake
yeah.
civil rights. Yeah.
He wants to go find other Drake wardens and make sure they're aware that their drakes are actually talking to them this whole time.
There's an epidemic of Drake
It
wardens.
turns out every Drake
Not
warden is
knowing.
already knows and like talks and like his best friend. They're like, of course. Did you never know that?
It just becomes a sad journey of Mac realizing that every other Drake warden just has the best relationship.
Very clear rights established from the beginning.
Comes across a Drake Warden commune.
That's right.
But yes, that's what gets him out of the night watch and kind of exploring the world a little bit. Who knows? Maybe we'll come across one of his other brothers one day.
Now Borges would want to stay with you, Max, specifically. But he definitely he wants to adventure. He's not necessarily in it for the Drake rights.
I mean,
advocacy,
going here, going there, that's kind of an adventure.
but traveling would be an adventure, right? Exactly.
Traveling is an adventure, right?
Yeah.
And so I would take Borges with me. I have
Okay.
much to teach him.
Yep.
Um,
He would have to stay reasonably near water or take showers and baths like once a day or something. So hopefully
Does
don't travel
Does
into.
Borges survive outside of the water?
He can
Like,
go
he's a
for
fish.
like. Yeah, he can go for like a little bit of time. I forget how much. Borges probably doesn't even know how much, but definitely would not want to be out of the water for too long.
true. I promise him I'll come back.
All right, but Borges tries to join you whenever he can.
Yeah.
All right,
It's
so
a little tiny boat or something, a little bathtub.
there you go. What was your favorite story or quest line?
Probably the lords, the pirate lords.
Pirate lords.
Just chasing after them. You know, being the chaser for a little bit in the campaign.
You had the most batshit moment of the
Not being the
campaign
most,
during that story arc, I would say, where you
That might be part of the bias. perhaps.
literally separated into the dungeon crawl by yourself. It was amazing.
Yeah. So that would be my favorite moment is the realization that there were no hobbits in the barrow.
The realization that you were in a full dungeon, like, wait a minute.
Yes.
Barrow? Oh, shit. I'm going to write down
What's that?
Raymond's favorite moment, realizing what a barrow is.
Realizing a barrow was not a burrow.
Realizing a barrow is not a burrow. That's a good one.
Because again, that's the thing. I haven't heard of barrow like that, so I just kept
Yeah.
hearing you say burrow.
And shout out to Demnix for actually like making a meme of that entire joke.
Oh yeah, true.
Do you have a least favorite story arc or area?
Probably maybe the Tendrix one, because I felt like
Okay.
it was a little annoying. Like we kept chasing him, but we couldn't fight him. He would just keep slipping away or be a
How are
projection
you
or something.
Tendrix?
Yeah. I wonder if
It-
I don't
it's-
even know if
it
it would be
is-
better,
it's-
but
It's tough as a DM to use villains and be able to have them be a presence, but make sure the players don't engage with that. You know, something like JRPGs a lot of times do is they're like, oh, I want to put you in this forced fight, and the villain's going to kill your whole party, but that's part of the story. But you can't pull that shit, you know, in D&D.
Yeah.
So it's always a...
I tried it on you guys once, and Eric, you specifically kept trying to call my bluff when the blue dragon came into the it was a cinematic thing where
Yeah.
the giant that was with you was going to fight the dragon, and you all were going to leave while these two had the cave crashed out on them.
Kazan had
And
like...
you
that
were
was,
just like,
his
no, I'm not
main-
going.
That was his connection. It's like he did not want to leave him back, so I made you... I think
Yeah.
we rolled against it or something.
We rolled, yeah. I ended up having to like force you into some rolls or something. Yeah.
I was like, I'm not leaving. Make me leave.
But I don't know if you can do like the video game thing where, you know, it's multi-stage where like you fight him and then you know, you think you're going to defeat him, but he runs away and I don't know if that'd be more.
Disappears.
What's
Well,
that?
it gets tough because if you want to truly fight them, it's like that situation where you guys could have fought the mind flayer in the mines, but I was like, he needs to disappear because he could have done that mind blast and like stun locked everybody, and it just would have been like real nasty. So it's a tricky thing that I try to do a case by case basis for you guys.
Yeah.
Where are we at? Favorite NPC?
I know you said don't say Borgus.
I will
but
let you choose. Borgus is a little bit more special to you.
Yes, just because of that moment when I don't even remember why. I just know you said he went down, he didn't die. For some reason, I was like, okay, let me save him then.
Yeah.
And that was the moment. And he ended up
That was
saving
when
me
I-
right after.
That's what I knew. That's what I knew he was the
Fell
one.
in love.
Which
I
ended up
think
being
he
a clutch.
Like this before?
Ended up being a clutch decision because normally NPCs don't necessarily make death saves when they go down,
Mm-hmm.
but it's something I may institute going forward because it just makes things more interesting and suddenly puts like a real step in the player. And instead of going, oh well, they're dead, be like, oh shit, we can save them. Like I got to spend some like resources and action economy to save this NPC. And not only is that make the battle more exciting, but it also like ingratiates that NPC like into the party more too, and makes them like, hey, we spent work getting you alive. And yeah, I really ended up liking the direction that went in. And there was a moment I think where
it has another objective during the fight, which is always interesting.
Where Mac went down and Borgus, I think, saved you. And then he went down and you saved him, and it became a whole thing. I was like, well, this is an amazing thing. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I have to pick Borgus for that reason, really. Just that back and forth saving. Oh, and then I was promised to train him or something. I don't remember.
Yeah,
now.
I think so. And we did end up I think up to stats a little bit, and then you also gave him armor crafted from like the sharks or something, and so I upped his like. So I did end up, which is not something I do too often with NPCs. I literally upped his stat block and like gave him new. And then of course later you ended up giving him actual magic items, which was crazy.
Right? Yeah. Which we realized we could do like 2/3 of the way through this campaign.
Yeah.
Well, all of a sudden the zombies got a bunch of magic
don't
items.
normally do is allow NPCs to attune to items, but it just became a funny thing where it's like he's this ongoing thing and you had extra items. Like, you know what? Fuck it. If this is a fun way for the players to use those items, then sure, here's the spear gun.
They're just going to throw away otherwise.
Exactly. Or give the zombie a drift globe, like whatever. As long as we're not doing shenanigans where like, well, the zombie gets to point the wand of lightning and shoot the wand of lightning, that gets a little too gamey. Favorite magic item, Mac?
I only use the zombie as a freaking flashlight.
No, and I appreciated that. Yeah, you give them all like the bullshit magic items. I'm okay with that. Should have been like a jack-o'-lantern.
I'm gonna pick this item as my favorite due to potential, but the how to disguise. I don't use it that much.
You got some good times though.
Right. I like that.
That's
the creativity.
One of your favorite MOs is that kind of thing. I'm telling you, you still need to play like a spellcaster who literally specializes in illusion magic, and then you would just destroy me as a DM. Like,
break his brain.
You can take all the illusion bullshit magic, and then you can fuck with me so bad with all of those various spells and shenanigans. All right, we mentioned favorite.
Let's see what the 2024 handbook looks like.
There you go. Favorite moment was the burrow thing. All right, Mr. Chris, what is Gottwald's epilogue?
Gottwald will probably.
Is he gonna have surgery to try to fix his eyes?
Okay, that stuff does
that
get cured after a long rest.
Right.
Yeah, that stuff does get cured after a long rest.
Gottwald will decide that all of this magical shenanigans that they've been involved with, the mind flayers, all that's not his MO. He's out of there. But he'll probably I don't know if there's any like crew or like NPCs left of like the crew people. Probably not. They all died. But he'll try to like find trustworthy sailors that he can find, and he will just continue for the rest of his life.
Ooh, he's gonna be on doing the ship
goal. The goal of finding and eliminating piracy throughout the seas.
Okay, anti-piracy.
Anti-piracy. He will form a group, and he will call it the Sword Coast Guard.
Oh my
nice, nice. I like it. I like that a lot.
And they will sail. They will sail looking for pirates and other ne'er-do-wells.
Well, I did say Borgus goes with Mac and Wood, but if Mac is going more terrestrial and and learns that you're on the water doing stuff, then Borges could also join you and would be experienced on the crew.
I'll split Borges.
Yeah. It's a divorced parent situation. You get him on the weekdays, and Matt gets him on the weekend.
Well, that's the other one that I was thinking that was like, this guy would be useful in my like Coast Guard, activities would be Sandboy. But if he's sticking around with the creepy cult people, maybe not. So
yeah, that would be a little tricky.
You might be able to get that one guy back who was like, F you guys after I killed everybody in that bar.
Maybe.
Oh, Callus?
The Callus.
Yeah.
Although he was like a straight up pirate. Like he didn't seem willing to like go straight.
He did have a little bit of a code. He didn't do all the stuff the Black Armada did, but that you probably would run into Callus again, and that would be maybe Callus has a chip on his shoulder or something. So that could be a kind of a frenemy for you.
Exactly. Yeah. Maybe he wouldn't want to like necessarily like take him down because he's not the worst pirate out there.
He's not the top of your list, but
he's not the top of my list. Yeah.
Yeah.
Callus wants your help to find me and kill me because I killed all those people.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately,
I don't know what happened to you. You left. You went to the dragon. Who knows?
Yeah.
I just disappeared. You're like, where did she go?
Yeah.
We did kill off the crew during the Tentrix battle. Yeah. I did mention that Kish and Harley did survive the battle with the Kraken. Would have been promoted by Gillian. One or two of them could end up joining you as a.
I bet Gottwald would work with the Tritons quite a bit because they seem like he's got an in with them with Gillian and Kish
actually they would probably find that just be a good guy around the sea. That would definitely be an ally.
You do need a guy to mop the
working
floors.
with all the people who want to kill me.
That's because you became the villain.
You literally became.
Once you become a lich, you get a big fucking target on your back. I think. You're part of like the most wanted list.
Yeah.
We can persuade Gillian and everyone else to join the Kraken Society.
Oh no. This is subtly, Gottwald's also like, fuck. Also the Kraken Society is like expanding out.
Which becomes a real crisis of conscience for Gottwald.
It is.
I know the guy who's behind all this shit.
Yeah.
But he's kind of my friend.
We're setting up like an even better sequel story now with like suddenly the main party's been fractured into like they literally have to go up against each other.
Yeah.
I don't know what a good equivalent story of that is. Where like in the first story they're all friends, and the second story they all become. I'm sure there's example.
X-Men, right?
They're
best friends.
In there. Yeah.
No.
Like Xavier,
Professor X and Magneto are best friends.
Professor
Okay,
X.
I could see that. Yeah.
And they end up having to fight each other, but
They don't want
maybe
to.
wait till the last minute to defeat each other or something.
Right. But there's still like respect there. There's respect and like and like background friendship there.
But our party has like 4 different factions now, and I feel like my faction and Mac's faction probably get along just fine. Like we're both trying to make the world a better place. Whatever.
Yeah. Me too.
Toral's faction.
As long as you believe.
Exactly.
Both Toral and Sabra become literally JRPG villains. Like Toral's like the head of the evil church, and then Sabra's just like the immortal lich. Like, oh my lord. Possibly, I don't know if Kazan would probably join. Kazan is thinking that the Kraken Society has been put down and is reeling, and he can go back to the monastery. But then he'll probably hear word that like suddenly the Kraken Society is exploding outward, being bigger than ever, which would put him back on the hunt. All right, so Gottwald becomes captain of his own ship. And forms the what'd you call it? The Sword Coast Guard.
Sword Coast Guard.
Sword Coast Guard against piracy. What was your favorite story arc or quest line?
I think
everybody's voted differently so far, which is
I feel like I can't vote the same as anybody else now because of it.
You can't.
They are mutually exclusive.
It's either Tentrix's base or the Styes, or like my favorite
those are two completely different
sequences. I'll say the Styes for quest line. For quest line, I'll say the Styes. Yeah.
I think if I had a vote, I would probably say the Styes. I thought that was especially based on everything.
The whole investigation, and then the fact breaking into the factory was a lot of fun.
Yes,
all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, that had some cool revelations and some cool fights, but also had a lot of non-combat fun opportunities, investigations. The whole serial killer thing was really fun.
We were like interrogating people. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I think that was my favorite, and I think it was like what Heather was saying about things being too long. That one had like the perfect pacing too. It's pretty short but fun dungeon crawl sequences, and none of them lasted too long. Do you have a least favorite story arc or quest line?
I don't think so.
Come on, I can take it.
I'll use this opportunity to minorly complain about the fact
Please,
that we never
I want the feedback.
That we minorly complain that we never see ghosts again after that one church bit. It's like, wait, what is it? Because I remember thinking, like, what is this? What are the ghosts leading to? And we never see them again.
Wait, which ghost from which one?
The church, the ghosts in the church during the Neverwinter attack.
Gold, I was like, I want to punch some ghosts.
Yes,
the
I got one punch ghosts.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought we were like branching off into a ghost like subplot, but the ghost we never saw.
Well,
them
you
again.
did follow up with them. You fought them again in the Pirate Skyhold castle, I guess.
Oh, did we? I remember that. Okay.
They weren't technically they were like the Pirates of the Caribbean. They were like the skeleton guys. You fought like the Minotaur skeleton. You ended up like just crushing. I mean, honestly, the skeleton stat block is not very strong for like whatever level you guys were at that point, 6 or something. And you guys fought your way through all of them and just demolished them. So
okay. The other one I'll include here is I thought by the end of this campaign we were gonna have a ship that was upgraded with like metal plates on the side, a giant fucking doom cannon in the front, and we only got 2 upgrades. We only did 2.
Yeah. That's true. The ship thing, and that was part of my process too. I was planning on going that, but just the way the story went, and there was actually a whole lot of, which maybe that was a regret I had too. Not a whole lot of actual like ship encounters or combat things.
Right.
So things didn't get too crazy. Yeah. Favorite NPC?
Everyone's taken the ones. I don't want to repeat myself. If I was going to repeat myself, I would say Sambalay. But because
no, you can definitely no.
I'm going to say the mute ship cook that hung out in that one closet that had like a parrot with him. do you remember?
I do remember. Yeah. That's an odd choice. The parrot. He was. Or,
if not him, then Kish.
IQ.
Just because I feel bad for Kish. Like he was the dude always like standing next to Borges. Like, and he was like a young dude, but he couldn't ever do anything.
The dice just told Kish's story as they did Borges. Like Borges ended up being such a monster in combat relative to his stat block, and Kish just could not fight a fucking wet paper sack. And
I feel like this is like my what do you call it? My professional like manager self talking is like I've seen Kishes before. Like they're nice guys, they're doing their best.
But you are the weakest link of this chain.
They're not gonna fucking make it. It's just not gonna happen.
But we should have left you to die because this is taking a lot of resources.
Yep.
They're nice guys, but they are on those pips like nobody's business.
Exactly.
But what you're telling me is not every NPC should be a confident asset to the party. You need some of those NPCs.
Sure. In contrast, yes.
In contrast, you need some of them who are just doing their best.
They're doing their best.
But their best isn't good
I'm
enough.
surprised Kish lived as long as he did.
I am too. Yeah, I think he might have had to be resurrected at one point. Favorite magic item for Gottwald. What items?
This is gonna make you mad because I love the magic items that you made for me. The giant great axe was amazing. The fists were amazing.
Bullshit random item.
But it's gonna be the swimming armor that we turned into a Speedo for me. The swimming Speedo is gonna be my favorite
magic items anybody ever got. I think
it got given to me secondhand too. I think somebody else had it at first.
Oh, maybe.
But then they got.
Was that the one where you had to? Was it worse AC but gave you swim speed? So you had to like choose, like, all right, if we're going in an underwater place, I will put this on.
That's exactly what it was.
Okay.
Yep. Which is why that's where the joke came from. That I had to strip off all my armor and just wear a Speedo while we were underwater.
Which is interesting from a tactical standpoint. We don't actually face that many decisions many times about juggling magic item usage and be like, hey, this is a particular situation where I need to wear this item.
Yep. But the underwater stuff made my heavy armor kind of impractical sometimes.
Yeah.
So,
favorite moment of the campaign?
This is where I'll go back to Tendrix's base. I loved that fight.
Really?
The sheer insanity
the 4
of that
session
fight.
long.
Where I love that we were all in different places and we didn't quite know where anybody else was.
Yeah.
and then we started like seeing each other through like windows, like somebody saw a fight happening on a different level. It's like, oh wait, that's the other player.
Yeah.
And then there's a fucking elephant there for some reason.
I did like the genie angle. It was pretty fun. Where he's
The
like,
genie angle
I'm
was
sorry I gotta
great.
do this
Yeah.
to you.
Yep.
I think there
And
was
then that Sovereign was never on board with that, like because she wasn't there for the beginning of it, so she
Yeah.
just was like, "Oh, the genie's trying to kill us. Like, let's kill
Yeah.
him." Like all of the like interacting like individual fights, I loved.
And then somehow I ended up with the thing that would set the genie free.
Right, which pissed him off to no end because you weren't going to
Try to use this leverage. Absolutely.
Yep.
I will say, as a DM, that was one of the most challenging parts of the campaign I had to run because of the sheer amount of moving parts, and
Yeah.
it didn't help that the map was 3 levels deep, and I had
Right.
to constantly switch between maps. So I'm glad you said that you enjoyed it, because as a DM, it was...
I enjoy insanity. The more
Yeah.
complex it gets, the more fun I.
We had some complex sequences in this one for sure. It really stretched some of the combats, but that was the goal. I tried to make it more of a, a lot of cinematic actiony moments.
Yeah.
For this one in particular. All right. I think that is all I have. We only went an extra 40 minutes past what we
45
usually
minutes,
do.
yeah.
So the recap alone took us
The
2
recap
hours.
always takes a long time.
It does. But we try to get through the campaign. So I know it's very late. If there's anything else we want to add, I guess I wrote down some memorable moments that I really liked. Real quick, I can go through. I didn't want to do mine before y'all. I wrote down my memorable moments. Session 2, Max splitting the party and aggroing the second half of the Sinister Secret Cave dungeon. Session 3, Twirl using pre-recorded phrases to deceive pirates on a ship.
That would have been, if I wasn't repeating, that would have been mine. That would have been one of mine. Yeah. favorite
Session
moments.
3.
Yeah, that was so good.
Session 4, a near TPK when the Sawagan reinforcements attack the Sea Ghosts after a big fight, even after the PCs get a short rest. Session 13, Gottwald ripping a roper off the ceiling, plummeting to the water to end a mini-boss fight. Session 18, revealing the target of the undead pirates is an aboleth, who is also their mysterious patron. In session 24, Twirl gets 3 nat 20s in a row on tentacle arm attacks, then follows it up with 3 nat 1s in a row the following session with the same attack. Session 28 was the Borgus heroing up to defend Mac's unconscious body against swarms of sharks. And then Mac would, of course, revive him, bestow him the armor, and Borgus would go on to become a major NPC. Session 40 to 41 was Max splitting the party at entrance to Iron Hand Cave. So a lot of mine were echoing y'all's, too.
Yeah.
The burrow thing, the Sword Maiden thing. I did put, so we didn't mention this one, Session 43, which was the Desecratus Yuan-Ti pirate ship battle, with Mac riding the shark, infiltrating the enemy ship, and the party maneuvering their ship around.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I'm really losing my voice. And then Session 59, I wrote, is a fantastic session from everyone. Gottwald in the middle of fish zombies, grappling them into a hunger of Hadar. Savra blasting all the zombies with a lightning bolt. Toril discovering a room with the bad guys, trying to block them with his magic hand, getting paralyzed, harpooned, and dragged, and an invisible hasted Mac has to save him. Just a lot of really cool moments.
That was a 2 hallway one, right?
Yes,
north and south
hallways. Yeah, deep in that mega dungeon. But that was a particular campaign where everybody had cool stuff going on. So I wrote that. Those were all, and I wrote those throughout the whole last year and a half of just naming the memorable moments. So
nice.
As a DM, I get several. All right, I think that's all I've got for this campaign for our epilogue and recap. As I mentioned, there is a giveaway going on right now. It will be going on throughout tomorrow for courtesy of Roll20 for the D&D 2024 Monster Manual on Roll20. So go to our Discord to do that. There's not obviously going to be a chat tonight because this whole thing was basically a chat from the deep. And then I think I'll talk to the players about it, but I know we're going to take some time off. And I believe we're going to kick off with Chris running in a new campaign.
All right, I got a thing.
Uh-oh.
I gotta pull back.
Yes.
Alien is back. We loved doing the Alien RPG before I ran this campaign. And Chris is going to run another...
The sequel to Chariot of the Gods is Destroyer of Worlds.
There you go.
And we're gonna do that.
There you go. Which I heard the other ones are a bit longer, but I'm excited to be involved. I absolutely loved that doing Alien RPG. So we'll take a little bit of a break here, and then we'll kick off with that one, and then we'll figure out from there if we want to do more guest stuff or if we want to jump in, depending on how long that one lasts, to the next campaign. But it'll be a little bit before we get to that, because I still got to figure out what the fuck I'm doing. I don't know anything yet, other than I will go ahead and say that we're gonna for sure do D&D 2024. I'm excited to jump into those rules, use that content, and kind of refresh everything for us and do a rebalance of the game.
Yeah.
All right, folks, that's going to be it for this session, for this epilogue and recap, and for this entire campaign of Call from the Deep. Thank you so much to Chris, Heather, Raymond, and Reese for playing. You were all absolutely amazing players. And thank you all to the wonderful fans for watching us, whether you watched us from the beginning or you jumped in halfway through the campaign or you've been here for years and years. I'm very thankful for all of you tuning in and, of course, telling me in what ways I messed up or forgot rules or otherwise have made mistakes. While live streaming is always
that is the chess job.
That is the job, or more than likely it's to remind Raymond that he forgot like sneak attack or something. And of course, thank you to all the patrons for your support as well. Shout out to the platinum patrons: Joe, Will, Thomas, Stan, Brennan, Zenicider, Roleplay Roll, Christopher, Corey, Big Nut, John F, John L, Nathan, Carpus Counselor, Andrew, Stephanie, Jason, Lumpy Spoons, Warden, Harold, Unimon, LLC, Tom, the Eating the Dogs, Caleb, Marcus, Nuggy, Hugo, Shay, and Chris, and gold patrons RPG Papercrafts, Pretty Boy, and Yuma, The Lizard Lounge, Jerome, Nathan, Fascicatora, Scott, Rufus, Jerry, Glenn, and Mark. Thank you all very much for your support, and we're going to be taking a bit of a break now.
All right. We did it, folks.
We did it. Another successful campaign in the books.
Can't get the thing to do the fireworks again anymore.
By the way, in a couple months, we'll be hitting the 10-year anniversary for doing these on YouTube, playing D&D on YouTube. I have nothing planned for that, but I thought that's a cool announcement. Yeah.
I meant to do the golf clap for us completing the campaign, but the golf clap is just for
Playing D&D.
There you go.
10 years.
We are still playing D&D, and we will be.